Hey, what's up, Scott?
What's up?
You know, just chilling. Just we just got Hornet and Nina.
I like this. I never used this. Yeah.
Yeah,
Discord
it's good
sucks.
because we can I can move people around. This is the difference about the Discord compared to this, right? Like, there's some stuff like in my chat that we can pop up the chat. It's good for panels, I thought.
Yeah, that's dope. I noticed that what is it? Fucking Zoom is better for streaming than Discord. Discord just fucking sucks. Doesn't look
Yeah,
good.
it's just especially the not being able to move people around. That's the thing that bugs me. I'm like, it just it kind of throws it off. The one thing about this though is there's no thing for widgets. So that's why I usually use OBS, so the widgets and stuff. There's Hornet. What's up, Hornet?
What's up?
We just waiting on Nina. Chilling.
True.
All right, here we got have it like this.
Yeah, you got some cool looking paintings in the back there, Smith.
Thank you. Panties or pannings?
Both.
Both. I can't see panties, but
they're
I
hidden.
do see the paintings.
One of those two is hidden. So we're talking about puberty blockers.
Apparently.
Yeah. So half of us are for puberty blockers being used for youth trans, and half of us are against it. We're just waiting on Nina.
Mm-hmm.
You know who Nina is, right?
Nina.
Nope.
Oh, you don't know who Nina is? You probably
Maybe
know her
I
when
do.
you see her. Probably know her when you see her.
The world famous Nina? Come on.
The world famous. Link out like crazy while we wait.
It's nice to meet you guys. I don't know if I don't think I've talked to any of you before.
Nice to meet you.
Except for Easy.
Yeah.
Oh, word. Yeah. Yeah, so why don't you guys introduce yourselves while we're waiting on Nina? Might as well.
All right, I'm Smith, Real Smith on all platforms. I'm Real Smith. Twitch, YouTube, Kick. Go fuck yourself. Whatever. I don't know. I'm exhausted. I've been editing a fucking video. I really, really want to finish this video. I'm gonna hopefully finish it by the 4th of July. It might be it's about the Destiny report.
Okay. Oh, you're still working on that. I thought you were not gonna do that.
It's
okay.
like no, it's like gonna be like an hour 45 minutes or something.
Wow.
Nice.
Spicy. I'm Radical Coder, Ryan. I do a lot of debates. I've been on Modern Day Debate a bunch of times. I probably popped up on some of your favorite streamers' channels at some point in time. I debated Destiny about a math book that he thought was racist, that I thought was anti-racist. And I'm generally known for stuff like that. I talk a lot about like critical race theory and those memes, but also I teach programming and I talk about math and all sorts of other fun stuff. So I'm really all over the place, but good to be here.
Nice to meet you.
You scared, Hornet?
No. You want me to go first?
Yeah, baby.
All right. Well, I'm Avoided Hornet, and I just like arguing. That's why I'm here. So.
Yeah.
Based.
I'm just mud crap. That's it. Don't do much. Mod, troll, idiot.
Mod, troll, idiot.
Who said that? The B or the back of the head?
The back of the head. interesting cam setup he has, huh?
Kind of cool.
Don't have to turn around to Goatsy then.
Ah, shit.
That reminds me, I should fix the lighting. There we go.
Sleepy says, puberty blockers are like such a played out debate. To be honest, I'd sacrifice them if it meant saving trans health.
Is that like someone that's trans as well, or?
Yeah, Sleepy's trans.
Oh, okay. And they would sacrifice the puberty blockers for trans health.
Yeah, Sleepy's like Sleepy is like an octopus that's like constantly reaching her tentacles all over. Like she pops up everywhere. You can't get rid of her.
I guess on whether it's like a played out topic. I mean, I agree. Like I don't. I think there's obviously a million conversations about it, but I mean, obviously it's still a pretty big deal. It's still something that is controversial, and there's a lot of laws being pushed all around the world. You know, banning them or using them, and so you know, there's going to be obviously conversation still needs to go on.
Someone says in my chat too, yeah, definitely played out.
I don't know. What is played out? What is played out? Like someone that's saying it's played out. What is the thing that's played out? Like, what do you think is boring about? Because I have some things to say about this.
Yeah, same.
I haven't heard a lot.
I mean, I feel like there's like importance to it.
Yeah, I would get into it, but we're missing someone. We're missing
a person.
I need my backup.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're missing Nina. I'm gonna send her another message and say, "Get your ass over here."
Let's see if she's streaming.
Oh, you know what? I think I didn't even send her the link.
The forgotten Nina, tragic.
Jargon. Nina. Yeah, Mantis, what's played out?
It is kind of played out. I feel it's one of
What
those
do you mean
topics.
by that, though?
It's one of those topics where having an opinion on it isn't really going to change much. They just need to finish the science behind it.
That's one thing, but
even when the science is done on it, people are still always going to push back on it.
True.
Yeah, I've got something I want to say that doesn't even hinge on the science. But I don't
Say
want
it.
to just so.
Oh, okay, hold it. Wait.
Yeah, Nina should be here.
Save it.
Yeah.
Hey Nina, you know what I think about puberty blockers?
Shit. This is gonna be good. Yeah, she's good at arguing too, Smith. So, like, me and her had a debate one time, and it was like 4 hours almost.
Yeah, Smith sounds down for that. If she doesn't get here, bro, I'll just bounce and you can 2v2.
Oh, she's gonna come, bro. She's gonna come. That was my bad. I thought we were waiting, and I sent everybody the link except her.
You scared, Crab?
This is a dumb fucking question, but it's a good dumb. It's an inappropriate question. You don't do this when you're live. But did you plan out that red cup because it like matches the background, like the red cup with the right? Did you plan that out?
Actually, red is actually my favorite color. So like I have a lot of red shit. So like yeah, basically.
Cool. It looks good because it's a red solo cup, but also it matches the room, so it's good.
Yeah, and it's one of those like rewashable ones, right? Like,
oh shit! Oh okay, cool.
Yeah, works out.
Good shit.
Intuitive says, "I don't care about science."
Fitting for his name.
Ah, shit. All right, I'm sure she'll be here. Send a message as well.
So if you guys lose this debate, you have to start taking puberty blockers, by the way.
Aced.
Start.
It should be up to my parents.
Yeah, facts.
Shit. There she is.
Hello.
Hey,
Hello.
how's it going?
What's up?
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
Doing well.
To see you, Radical, and of course, me and
Absolutely.
the rest of y'all.
Yeah, it's Smeth. He's on YouTube as well. The other two is actually one's my mod, and the other one just likes arguing.
Who
Yep.
doesn't?
Love that.
Avoided. He likes arguing, not doesn't. He likes arguing. Avoided Hornet.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's you three that are four. So everyone like introduced themselves already. So now that you're here,
What? You just gave me the link. What the
I know
heck?
you're right. I know. We thought I fucked up. We thought we were waiting on you. I sent everybody but you the link, and I was like,
Oh
what
my
an asshole.
god.
I was like,
He was
what
trying to
an
handicap
asshole.
us.
Yeah, trying to make me look bad, huh?
Yeah, it's my bad. But yeah,
That's all
yeah,
good.
we'll do it again. Everyone's gonna introduce themselves again, just for you, Nina.
Oh no.
I'm Real Smeth. I'm a
Nice to meet you.
YouTuber and streamer, and I'm currently making a video about the Destiny report that I want to have out by July 4th. Because I'm going to be on a panel with Destiny, so I want to get it out before that.
You are playing a dangerous game, my friend.
There he is.
Oh, forget me, I'm retarded.
Forget me, I'm retired. Yeah, that's it. Rude mud crab, retarded troll,
Facts.
That
mod.
is pretty rude.
I'm avoided Hornet mod, and I just like arguing. So
Well, nice to meet you.
you can just call me Hornet.
Okay.
Got it, Hornet.
Hornet. I'm gonna call you Horn, just for this one. Horn.
Damn.
All right, Nina. Tell everyone who you are.
I am Nina. I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Nina. I'm a leftist progressive. So I like to do a lot of debates, like to argue. I do find that a lot of fun. I'm on my authoritarian leftist arc right now. We do love doing our discords are banned. So a lot of people come into my chat saying a bunch of dumb shit, but you want to talk to me, down to talk. But if you're gonna keep saying dumb shit, you better actually talk to me in Discord, or we're gonna ban you.
Nice.
And it's good to be
Wow,
back. Of
radical.
course. Good to see
Dumb
you.
shit like we shouldn't be giving kids puberty blockers.
Sure.
I'm still radical coder, like I was a few minutes ago when I said. I am also a progressive leftist, probably to the left of your favorite liberal streamer. Yeah, I do a lot of debates. I also teach people how to code. I talk about math and fun stuff like that. Sometimes I talk about allegedly racist math, and I fight with Steven about that.
Nice. That's what's up. Yeah, and just in case anyone else is streaming, I'm Speakeasy, Escape with Speakeasy on YouTube. I do debates, red pill content, reactions, a little bit of everything. And yeah, today I'm Jesus with the hair down.
I was just thinking that this debate is going to be easy. So
All right.
the thing I've been on the fucking tip of my tongue that I wanted to say was
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
don't think
You've
that
been
you
wanting
should
to say it.
transition until you've had sex. And this is like not just something I've said. Like this is a common sentiment. It doesn't make any fucking sense. I wanted to transition myself, and once I started having sex, things changed a lot. And I didn't start having sex till I was like 22. To understand what it felt like to be desired, because like before then, my vision of what it meant to be desired was like not like I would never have been desired for me for who I am. like just naturally without changing my body. I would have been changing my body to become something to be desired. And like, it's not like you actually have control over what you look like when you're transitioning, unless you're like a billionaire and you can afford a trillion surgeries.
Wait, so you wanted a transmax? Is that what you're saying?
I wanted to transition. Actually, I wanted to transition.
Do you understand what transmaxing is?
What, like doing a whole bunch of surgeries and stuff?
I think what she's suggesting. Oh, go ahead.
Well, transmaxing is kind of like I don't know if you're familiar with like black pill or red pill theory, I guess, where like it was like looks maxing, like transmaxing is a aspect of that, where like you're just like, okay, so I don't have like the enough masculine looks, so that I maybe should transition because I might be more desirable in that way. Is that what you're talking about, or am I misunderstanding you?
No, that's not how I felt. I didn't feel like I was doing it because I wasn't good enough as a man. I hated being a man and I hated men, and I loved women. Okay. I was in an art school, so there was like mostly women, and I wasn't treated as well as them or accepted as much of them as them. Since I was in kindergarten, I always was excited by the idea of being a girl. That was like a sexual excitement. So all these things combined, and it wasn't that I just was giving up on being a man because I thought I'd get laid as a woman. I wanted to be a woman because I hated being a man. And
okay, so why did that change?
I became more adjusted with who I am. I learned how to love myself without like changing myself. Because I was a femboy, like very much. I like would shave my legs like 3-4 times a week and shit, and like when I stopped doing those things. Wow, what a relief! I feel like a big part of it for me was like something that affects women is like these unhealthy beauty standards, and there's like a lot of propaganda and shit. Like, and I think Instagram had a lot to do with it because I'd look at these pretty, beautiful women on Instagram, and I was like, oh, I have to look like that. You know, like, that's exactly what women feel like. And I just felt ugly. Like all this propaganda that makes women feel ugly, it made me feel ugly too. And I just felt ugly and wanted to change my body. And I learned that, you know what, I'm not ugly, and I can be hairy and still be desired. And that on a side note, that's why I advocate for women to, I would never expect women to shave or anything like that. No makeup, no shaving. I have no expectations because I know how it feels.
Okay. But like you're saying that you're not interested in like, if you had the money like to transition, I guess I don't understand, like, do you feel like you still don't want to transition, or like you're just more, I mean, I think that you should feel confident in your body, of course, regardless of, like, I do agree with you with the sense of like you shouldn't think that like, transitioning is going to fix all of your problems, because that's obviously not how that's going to work, clearly. But I'm just like curious into why do you not still want to transition or be like seen as like a woman, like, okay, but why is that? I feel like you have to explain that. Like, what was the change?
I learned how to accept myself and love myself and be less insecure about me, myself, and my body.
Okay. So the only reason that you wanted to transition was because you were insecure about your body?
Okay, I think that what you're getting at is you think that gender dysphoria.
I'm not trying to get anywhere.
I think that underlying your question is the premise that gender dysphoria is something you're born with. Is that something you believe?
I think it's a mix.
I don't think it's possible to be born with an identity, so I don't think you can be born with it. I think you develop it because of how society makes you feel, and you can't, like, so. I think that if the solution to society making you feel like shit about your body and thinking you need to change your body and become something to fit better into society, that's a horrible solution where society should not be making you feel that way.
Okay, sure, but what if a trans man like feels comfortable in their body or whatever, and then starts moving towards like, I'm more of a woman, but still doesn't feel that comfortability, do you suggest they stay the same and just like become a man just because that's the way they should be? Or do you think they should feel more comfortable in transitioning?
I think that transitioning is hell. And it's less hell for trans men because they just have to take testosterone and like they have less beauty standards and stuff, but it still sucks. Like trans men, they get like the T makes them get like a ravenous like sex drive they've never had before. They get like really hungry. A lot of them like end up gaining weight, and they go through a lot of changes like their skin like acne, but I mean, especially with trans women, like you have all these beauty standards you have to live up to, and your body's changing. You become like weaker, and your hormones are different, so you're emotionally destabilized. So it's hell. If it was a pill that you could take that instantly changed your gender like that, your sex instantly changed your sex like that, I would be like, oh, well, fucking do it. When I do it whenever you want. But it's not like that. It's not. It's awful. So I'm against, and I don't think it ever. People that transition are never cured of dysphoria. All people that even pass very well will be hyperfixated on all the things they hate about themselves. It's like, oh well, this part of my body still looks like a man. This part of my body still, and they'll be so insecure about that. This is an incredibly common held thing, and I think transitioning makes that become central to your life rather than learning coping mechanisms to deal with those things. So I just don't think that that's the appropriate way to handle that.
Well, why not do both though? It just seems like that would make more sense. Where it's like, okay, you can like, of course, it's not going to relieve every symptom or whatever uncomfortable situation that you have, but like it's, I'm sure to a lot of trans people, like very comforting. I mean, like we have this, people talking about like they do obviously still have issues, of course, because of the way society sees them as a trans person is a lot of where that remaining stress comes from, which I would then agree, or I would think that we should then, not make it harder for people to be trans, just be like accepting and stuff. But like, I understand that even if we're talking about dysphoria, like, yeah, it's probably not going to go away entirely, but it's, as you said, it's like the way that society treats people, right? That like, influences those things. So why don't we not treat people who are trans like in a particular way where they are seen as like freaks or weird or they shouldn't exist type of thing? It just kind of seems like it's kind of a weird counter argument that you're making. I don't know if I phrased that correctly, but do you understand what I'm saying?
I'm not saying they should be treated like freaks or weird. I think that they are being
but you think that people shouldn't transition?
Right. I think that if you have gender dysphoria, if you have gender dysphoria, that's real, and it's a horrible thing that you have gender dysphoria. It's a horrible experience. It'll suck, but it's not. You weren't born to have it. It's everybody. It's your parents' fault. It's the school you went to's fault. It's all your like. It's the people. It's everybody around you's fault. It's society's fault. It's advertisements' fault. Yeah,
I don't accept it, right?
And I don't think that you should change your body to fit that. I think that when people are feeling like that about themselves and we're like, everybody just take this pill and then you'll change your body and now you'll be this thing you wanted to be. And even when you do that, I think it actually makes dysphoria worse because now you're hyper fixated on changing. It's like when you get plastic surgery and then people with plastic surgery get addicted to it and they need to get more and more and more because you're more fixated on your flaws and it's never perfect and it's constantly consuming. It's never enough. You have to just learn to accept your ugly, disgusting, stinky, like your body, like there's no escaping.
I'm just curious, because you talk about your own experience with this a lot. Like, were you diagnosed with gender dysphoria?
No.
Yeah, I was curious about that as well.
Okay, good to know.
So what does that mean to you?
Did you ever talk to anyone? I'm just curious. Like,
yeah, I talked to a doctor and she was putting me in touch with a hormone person. I was gonna get in touch with someone to start taking hormone blockers because at that point I wanted to be a femboy and so I wanted to be as androgynous. Like I would not work out and I would I was anorexic, so I would starve myself so I'd be extra skinny so it wouldn't look like manly at all. I wanted to get my trachea shaved so I would have a more like feminine neck. I'm really glad I didn't do all these things because I feel really confident and I feel beautiful and I would just have taken so much away from myself if I had done that.
I mean, that's great for you, but do you like disagree that there are tons of people who would go through this process and then also feel that same satisfaction that you have?
What, after transitioning? I don't think so.
Yeah.
No, I don't
Really?
think so. No, I don't think so.
What do you base that
Maybe,
off of?
Yeah.
Like, what do you base it off of that they're satisfied? Because
I base them off of saying these things. I base it off of other people saying that they are
Right.
satisfied. And
I mean,
I don't-
if we're taking your word for it and we're taking their word for it, like it's kind of like a wash almost.
I don't think self-reporting is a scientifically reasonable or valid
But that's what you're using. You're using your own, like, I mean, even less reliable because it's just your specific experience.
Okay, no,
like,
no, okay,
versus
no. So that's a horrible that's a horrible.
Yeah, like
I agree. Yours is way less reliable than
No, both are.
They're not the
No,
same,
actually, that's completely wrong. I don't see how you can consider yourself a scientist in any regard if you're saying that. They're both equally unreliable. Except what I'm advocating for is normality or acceptance, and I'm advocating for health. You're advocating for people to get surgeries and like alter their body and go through hell. So you should default to my position.
You know that trans or like gender affirming care has a higher percentage one of the lowest percentage of regret rates among like surgeries, including like heart surgery, like life-saving surgery.
I think that's utter bullshit.
If you had to put a percentage on it, how many trans people do you think regret?
I can look it up.
So are you saying that we should stop giving people heart surgery?
No,
that's clearly not what I'm saying.
Okay, because I don't think
the regret rate is lower than somebody who's going to do a life-saving surgery. So it seems like people we're trying to make the assessment. Just let me finish real quick. We're making the assessment that it seems that people that go through these transitional surgeries are happier, are very happy with them. Considering they have a lower rate of regret than somebody who's literally doing like heart surgery that they would like have died if they didn't do.
I don't think that we give people heart surgery based on how much they're going to be happy with the surgery. We do it because we want to save their life.
Okay, but you're not engaging with my point. We're saying that
they're not equal.
Clearly, if they don't regret something like a heart surgery, I think you would imagine they're probably pretty happy with the fact that they had that heart surgery, right? And would you agree with that?
So what if people get heart surgery, regret it? What does that mean about heart surgery? I don't get it.
If we started letting kids have tattoos, and then we
haven't got to kids yet.
If they reported after that they didn't regret the tattoos, would you like agree? It's like would you start saying, "Oh yeah, it's maybe we should let kids get tattoos"?
I mean, that's
this is a hypothetical.
Unrelated to what we're talking about, but I don't have a problem. Like, we're not talking. Sure. I don't really follow what you're trying to get at here.
I do think. I mean, tattoos. I think at like 16 or something, you can get a tattoo with like parental consent.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's not what I asked, right?
I know. I'm just like.
Okay.
And this is coming from a guy with tattoos.
That's more a cosmetic thing than a medical issue, right? That's
for sure.
Okay,
well,
so
what if you? I mean,
like
hate yourself and you think that tattoos will make you feel comfortable with yourself and love yourself?
Go for
it. Still a cosmetic issue, not a medical one.
Well, I think that gender is a cosmetic issue and not a medical one.
So what does the puberty blockers stop? Right? Does the puberty blockers stop the physical traits of your born gender? Okay, that's what it stops, the physical traits. So it's about the cosmetics. For you guys to just say, well, that's cosmetics, this is medical. That's not an argument here. But it's not an argument here.
The mental part
I can just say, the mental thing.
That's what you're trying to treat. You're not trying to treat. You're not trying to treat the cosmetic area of that. You're trying to treat a mental problem that we're trying to deal with. We're not trying to be like, hey, you should look more attractive. We're trying to solve the mental issue that these people are having.
Yeah.
So what if you just then why do they need to change their body at all? If we just so you could just say, okay, well, if you wear this ring, it means you're a woman, and everybody's like, okay, well, if you wear the ring, you're a woman. So why are we changing their body, having them like go under the knife, taking hormones and shit? Like, so clearly it is a cosmetic thing. The mental thing is a need for a cosmetic change. They want to be the opposite sex.
Well,
why is an emotional issue a physiological change?
I don't think I'm not personally disagreeing with the fact that it is a physical thing for a lot of people. Like, you know, we might just be on like different pages here with the way that we're thinking. Like, I don't know if I'm not super familiar with Hornet's perspective, but I would agree with the idea that it is a cosmetic thing to an extent because you want to be perceived the same way that you know, you see yourself, right? So like I get that. So I don't really want to labor on that, but if you want to go into that, Hornet, you absolutely can if you're interested in doing that.
No, it's just it just seems when like we make the tattoo argument, it's always going to be that's a strictly cosmetic thing, and when we're talking about mental health specifically, I think we should move more into that area, not that's what we're trying to treat.
Yeah, I think I
Not
agree
just
with
the
you.
cosmetic
with you.
area. Like
Good
I
point.
understand the
with you.
cosmetic is a part of it, but what we're mostly trying to treat is the mental area.
Yeah, I think I can maybe
agree
bridge
with
this.
I
Easy.
agree with
Yeah,
that.
Can I say? I think perhaps if there was this sort of trend of like a sort of like tattoo dysphoria that had like like similar types of impacts that we do see in terms of like gender dysphoria, then I might be open to having discussions about medical cases, like medical qualifications for tattoos. You know, I mean potentially, yeah, I'd be open to that.
So here's the difference between me and you then, like, not to say that sounds condescending, but the difference between what we think is in that situation. So like say my kid is saying that they need tattoos, like, because they need them to feel comfortable with themselves in the same way. I would be up in arms. I would be going to the school and I'd be like, why do they feel this way? If you're saying that a bunch of kids are feeling this way, I'd be like, what is wrong that that our kids feel like they have to get fucking face tats in order to feel like our 16-year-olds think they need to get face tats to feel good about themselves. I'd be like, there's something wrong there's something wrong that's making them feel this way. I wouldn't say that they're wrong for feeling that way, but there's something wrong around them. We're doing.
Well, what if there was also
wrong.
like a long history of this thing manifesting in society, and rather than I would agree with you if like this just started happening tomorrow, then I'd be like, okay, what's going on? But we have like tons of precedents that like gender dysphoria has been around for like pretty much forever. You know, like people have experienced these things that we now call gender dysphoria for as long as humans have been around and gendering each other.
Like people with autogynephilia have the same symptoms as
in some cases, yeah.
What?
I'm not like I don't think using like autogynephilia like I think some trans people might have that, and I think that's okay. I don't think that would like disregard the solution to gender dysphoria.
I agree with that. I think it's the same.
I don't think that I'm not saying they're the same, by the way.
Yeah, it's not like 1-to-1. It's just like even if it was just autogynephilia, like if it still made them feel better, they're not hurting anybody. Who cares?
Yeah, but these so you're okay with kids making, so that's why I used the hypothetical with the tattoo thing, right? So you would be okay with this situation then, just to be clear.
In a world where that tattoo dysphoria had been like manifesting for like literally as long like as old as time, like yeah, in that world I would be open to it, yeah.
Yeah, if there's
Can I ask a
history, go ahead.
Is there any other thing where a cosmetic change is the treatment for a mental issue?
That's what I was about to say, and you beat me to it.
Sorry, Smith.
No, I'm glad because I forgot. Thank you. Good.
Probably. What about like for we talked about or I think Destiny recently had a conversation with someone about like mastectomies for like teenage boys who have or not, I don't know if they call it mastectomy, but for like teenage boys who have like a lot of excess breast tissue. And I think like primarily, I mean, there are also other complications that can come from that, but primarily I think it's about the like the mental impact of like, oh, I'm not supposed to have boobs. I'm a boy, right? And so I mean, I think that's an example.
Yeah. Also,
That's
women who have breast cancer.
I'm not saying they're the same.
No, women who
Not
have
even
had breast
close.
cancer, or I guess even men who have breast cancer, but typically it's generally women, who have to have a lot of their tissue removed. Literally, insurance will pay for breast implants because it physically helps kind of or not regenerate. That's not the right word. You know, it's a way to like reform. I guess. Yeah, restore. Yeah.
Yeah, but you guys
their breasts as well.
Yeah, I think
same
that's a
with like
better example.
face burning as well. Like if you get like your face burned, like that's obviously a.
These are emotional and mental problems caused by a physical change first, though.
That's I didn't even. Right. Yeah, that's correct. Like, it's not the mental disorder.
So that's a physical problem that requires physical change. The emotional
Well,
thing is just a
it
symptom.
being I think that whether or not it was like caused by a physical change, I mean, like if someone experiences like more gender dysphoria as they go through puberty, and start to change, their body starts to change to become more masculine or more feminine, then that would also be the result of a change, a physical change that then they're alleviating with another physical change. So I don't think that
No, yeah, but that's
actually
not
distinguishes it.
like
Well, like gender affirming care is also considered like, you know, like if somebody's like really self-conscious about them being bald, like as a dude, like doing any sort of like hair restoration is also like, I mean, it could be seen as something that is, you know, a mental issue. It's just maybe not like the same degree, but it is very similar in the way that we're talking about. Like it is something that I think maybe a guy who wants to go through these implants to get these surgeries would make.
Yeah,
Give us
there's
an example
also
where
people
the-
that want limbs removed from their body too. Should we
yeah,
like
give us
remove kids' limbs?
an example where the emotional issue comes first, where it's not a
Well,
physical
the
issue.
emotional
or an
issue
emotional
is
wanna
that
bite
he's
the
upset
bullet.
about being bald. That's the emotional issue.
I want to bite the
No,
bullet,
physical
okay?
issue.
Like it is
Okay.
if you got like burned on the face and then you want like certain cosmetic surgery to fix that, it kind of is similar. I mean, the cause of it is different because when down that argument, I don't think that's a good road to go down because we're gonna have to be defending like being like naturality or whatever, and you can I don't like that argument. I think that the issue is you're not going to be able to live a good life if you have if someone throws acid in your face. You're gonna like your ability to like live a good life is completely destroyed. If you're trans, your ability like if you like look if when the acid, if you look like a literal zombie, like your ability to have a decent life whatsoever with society is not gonna play out unless we try to fix that. With trans people, they can live a good life, except they don't. They only want to live a good life as something that they're not. But their ability to live a good life is not non-existent. They just hate what they are. Like it's like if you don't have a acid burn on your face, but you believe that you do. It's like being anorexic. It's like you think that you should be skinnier, but you shouldn't be skinnier.
All right, Smith. I'm gonna be honest. I think that you just think that all trans people are absolutely miserable.
I think if you have gender dysphoria, the dysphoria is a dysphoric experience, so that's what I think they have.
Okay. But
Wait,
like,
so you were hang on, you just brought up like a dysmorphic, which there's a specific difference is that like when you have dysmorphia and you're like say whether it's related to anorexia or bulimia or other like eating disorders and stuff, these are things where like you look in the mirror and you actually like you see something different than what everyone else sees. Like you physically, like you think that you're too skinny or you think that you're too fat or even in some cases you might.
Wouldn't this make you
people,
absolutely miserable?
Well, yeah. But I think that the key is that there's actually like there is an element of I might even go as far to call it like delusion here. While when it comes to trans people, the dysphoria specifically comes from like being very aware of how their body looks, and their frustration is from knowing exactly how their body looks and that is the thing that's causing them distress rather than a misalignment with what your body is presenting, causing you distress.
Well, yeah, but they're so yeah, I felt that. I used to experience that, and I lost that hatred or dysphoria, and I learned to feel like euphoric. Like I learned to be more adjusted to my body and comfortable and love my body. And I don't think that's
Smith,
impossible.
was that when you left school that you learned to love yourself and everything?
It was after I left school, and then like I had a bunch of sex.
Because a lot of kids who get bullied for being like girls who get bullied for being too butch, boys who get bullied for being too sissy. This also causes gender dysphoric symptoms as well. So like transitioning these kids wouldn't be the answer to this. Or how about a little girl that's been essayed and she goes to the therapist, she explains all her symptoms of wanting to be a boy because she knows that her brother doesn't get it, but she does. So she wants to be a boy for this reason, but she doesn't say the part that she's been essayed, but she's explaining all this shit about wanting to be the opposite sex. Do you think that we should start transitioning this little girl?
So you're describing a situation where this person is giving all of the signs that they have gender dysphoria, but
Right.
there's an underlying mechanism that's
There's an
interacting with it that's
reason for
causing it.
but she won't tell that one reason. She just says.
Well,
that
how? So you're saying that because we can't tell the difference, we shouldn't treat gender dysphoria at all?
Right. Like,
well, what is the difference?
Actual thing that gender dysphoria.
I don't know. There is. I'm actually still there is a difference. Like if there are cases where a sexual assault does end up manifesting in gender dysphoria for someone, and then that gender dysphoria is alleviated by transitioning, I don't know if I'm necessarily opposed to that.
Yeah, it might as well be. It it might even be the case. Like I'm saying it's possible that like gender dysphoria could go away, but it's also possible it wouldn't go away. Maybe you'll be miserable forever. And
yeah.
That could be true for dysphoria, though.
It's always a
sounds
chance,
like gender avoidance, not wanting to be the gender they were when they got the trauma.
Right.
Okay, so let's go with that. Okay, let's just go with that premise. So if that's the case, and then let's talk about the results. If, like, hypothetically, the results were if they did, like, I guess we said gender avoidance, then they transitioned and then they're significantly more happier. Like, what's the problem?
I don't think that you actually can change your sex.
We're talking about gender avoidance, so this would be like they would just be
so,
like.
So you think them avoiding that?
Well, let's just go with the hypothetical. Yeah. Like, is it worse? Like,
would they be happier?
Like, theory here.
Because they haven't.
Yes, in this situation, they are happier.
Because they didn't want to be the gender they were.
Yes.
But they're still not a gender they want to be.
Well,
yeah, they can't. You can't actually like.
Well,
I would agree with you. I would agree. I would be on your side.
Well, no.
If we had magic, we had perfect science.
Okay, no,
that actually could make you. It actually could make you. Yes, and so I'm telling you the case where I would agree with your hypothetical, but I don't agree with it. But the case where I would.
You don't understand what I'm asking. I'm asking if somebody is happier because they, are taking like, right. I don't know, like they're like maybe a biological female and they're taking like male hormones and they are just happier doing so and transitioning socially. And if they're just happier, whether or not what the reason behind it is, like maybe it is because they just wanted to run away from, whatever, their trauma, and it does make them happier. What is the problem?
I'm not for that because taking heroin makes you happier. I don't think that that's the gauge by which we judge all of the science here.
I don't think somebody taking heroin makes them happier in the long run. If they're literally living for years on like this and they are
right. I'm saying the same. You're interrupting me, but I'm trying to say what you're saying. I'm saying that I don't think heroin makes you happier in the long run, and I don't think gender confirming surgeries and care actually makes you happier in the long run.
But you just keep saying I don't think this. I'm saying in this hypothetical it does. You need to engage in the hypothetical here. So if it does, what is the problem?
So why does it make them happy?
That doesn't matter. Why do you think that
it does matter to me?
So you're okay with?
I think
I'm not a trans person. I wouldn't know.
Because heroin makes you happy. Heroin makes you happy, and I'm not okay with that.
Really don't. Heroin actually makes you miserable. That's a horrible example. You think
it makes you happy.
Condition is the same as heroin? That's silly.
Okay, Smith.
I think it's a good example though because he's saying that like, what if the heroin kept you happy?
Yeah.
Like,
do you think that being transitioning? Do you think like taking testosterone is like heroin? Are you guys all on heroin right now, or like what?
I think it's going to make your life worse. I think it's going to make your life way worse in totality.
Wait. If you're a heroin addict and you get addicted and it makes you feel good, you know that we switch these people onto Suboxone so they can move through their life easier, right?
Methadone,
There's always going to be a way to try and figure these things out. We're trying to maximize the reward with the minimum risk. Right?
We're moving away. Hold on, we're moving away from the hypothetical though. Like I'm just saying, like I'm just asking you guys. This is the opinion.
Okay, lay it
out.
You
guys on the other side. I'm just saying, like whether or not you don't have to necessarily believe this directly, like as it's true. Like I'm not saying that it's a true thing that's happening, but if somebody is significantly more happy, even if the reason that they transitioned was because of trauma, like they weren't necessarily like, born this way or whatever, even if them transitioning alleviated the the resentment in their body or whatever, and maybe it was based off of the trauma of something that happened to them, whatever. If that was the case and transitioning made them feel better, what is the problem to you?
Because my overall goal isn't the type of feel better that you're talking about. I think it's pretty obvious, and it's scientifically just a fact that transitioning is going to, all these gender affirming things, surgeries, interventions are going to, they're going to make your life worse. So even if it makes you happier, even if it makes you happier, I don't care.
They feel happier. They are happier.
Yeah,
Objectively, they're happier.
Because let's say running from trauma.
They'll be happier, but their life will be worse.
Okay, so what's the problem? How is why their life?
So I don't want to let people do shit. I don't want to let people cut themselves if it makes them happy.
Would be the only reason why they would be worse is people like you, dude. Like, why can't you just let people be like, if it makes them feel better, why the fuck can't you just let them like live their own fucking lives?
Some people want to commit suicide, and I would do if you were in my room and if you were in my room and you wanted to commit suicide, I would do everything physically possible to stop you. I would beat you to a pulp before I let you commit suicide. I wouldn't let you do it.
Wait. Right there.
Listen,
right there.
This is why.
Wait. Easy. Give me a second. So if you want to prevent suicide, and this person's threatening to kill themselves, saying that, hey, if I don't transition, I probably will kill myself, would you go down that line?
I would stop them from killing themselves.
Okay, but you wouldn't let them transition.
So what if you say you're going to kill yourself unless you like
work on them mentally, not physically. The same way if someone told me if I don't get my arm chopped off, I'm going to kill myself, I would fucking do everything possible to help them mentally to not get their arm chopped off.
Yes.
Well, I think the problem is that it's not
if they transition and the likelihood of suicide ideation goes down, obviously that's the route we should take, right? That shouldn't be something we should just turn away from because some people are scared of it.
And to on the back of that, I would say that we're not talking about someone who's like standing in a room and they're saying like, hey, if I don't get this care, I'm gonna kill myself right now, like someone might do to like a toxic relationship or something.
Yeah.
Like that's not what we're talking. We're talking about at a scale, at a societal scale, we're seeing very high suicide rates among people who aren't who aren't going through this, who have these particular like dysphoric traits. So like it's a little bit more nuanced than like a suicidal threat from an individual.
Sure, it's a systemic threat, but there's a difference there. So like even if you applied the same thing, like people that want to chop their arm off, and it's kind of garish and extreme, but it's a great analogy. Okay, so if people that want to get their arm chopped off are like statistically much more suicidal, and we're like, well, I guess we just have to chop their arms off, I would be like, no, we need to help them better. Like, I don't think that chopping their arm off is actually helping them, and I don't think that them killing themselves, if they kill themselves, then we failed to help them too. So both of these things need to not happen.
Negative things that come with an arm chopped off, just like the other negative things that come with.
So if the only solution was chopping off the arm, or if the only solution was chopping off the arm or killing them, would you not pick the chopping off the arm one?
No, I'm saying that I would not let them do either.
I mean, like you're the one that made this. I'm saying I'm engaging with it.
I'm saying I'm saying I would not let them do either. I'm saying both cases where either we fail to help them and they kill them.
It's one or the other.
No, it wasn't. I was saying it. No, that's actually wrong.
If a guy told
you weren't listening,
hey,
I was saying,
let me believe that in my head God is talking to me. Let me believe this, or I'm gonna kill myself. Should we just let this guy function in society, believing God is talking in his head, or should we put him in somewhere that's gonna like if someone?
Wait, you need to be consistent. We're talking about physical
solutions. Wait, if someone's only two solution is chopped arm off or death, then they need to be put into a facility where they're constantly watched. Because
so you're not even going to engage with the fact that the two options.
In society.
You're remaking my hypothetical.
Wait, hold on. You guys are let me fix.
I need to clarify to you. My hypothetical is if somebody if there's a statistical likelihood that somebody who there's all these people that want to cut their arm off and they're all more statistically likely to kill themselves, I think that if we do not help them and they kill themselves, we have failed them. And if we cut their arm off, we've also failed them. So I think that if we want to help them, both of those things need to not happen.
That's not a hypothetical. Then there's
yes, it is.
I mean, yeah, sure, you could say by definition.
It's not a hypothetical. It's just my belief.
Oh, it's not okay.
But you're the one who said it was a hypothetical, so I was trying to engage with what you said.
You said you wanted to clarify your hypothetical, and then you told me that. So yes, I thought you were.
Well, you were the one calling it a hypothetical, so I was just trying to mirror your language because it was wrong.
But to be clear, if we're talking about this, the cutting your arm off thing, which I think is kind of cartoonish, especially because there's a lot more gradients in terms of transitioning. But like if we are going to engage with the cutting your arm off thing, again, if there was like this long established trend of people experiencing this dysphoric these dysphoric symptoms that come from them desperately wanting to remove this arm, and we've been trying for decades, centuries, maybe even, to try to alleviate this with other means, and we found absolutely nothing that at a wide scale was effective, and then we cut off one person's arm and they're like, oh my god, this is so much better. And then we start seeing that happen a little bit more. You know, maybe I'd be open to it. First of all, just to be clear, this is a very cartoonish hypothetical. This is not. I don't think this really compares to dysphoria or to being trans.
It's way more extreme.
I think in that case, then there might be a stronger case. Yeah, right.
But that's not the world we live in with transitioning.
I agree. Wait,
yes,
but it is.
It's not. No, it's not. With the transitioning, we're just going by where people say they want to change their sex, and we try to do shit to placate them, and then they say, okay, that made me happy, and that's okay, this job done, and we haven't tried any fucking thing else. The science behind this has only been around for
forever,
10, 15 years.
It sounds almost like your guys' answer, the answer to trans or gender dysphoria, is to stop your physical changes. So the answer to anorexia should be a pill that stops you from gaining weight. We should keep you skinny so that you feel physically good. Is that what you're saying?
No. Well, although I mean, when it comes to no, I don't think so. Especially since this is why the dysphoria thing, first of all, is really important. There's a big distinction.
Transitioning as the definite answer to gender dysphoria is the dangerous part because of all the other problems that come with transitioning.
I hear you on that. So when we're talking about whether someone should transition, I don't even especially with medical intervention, we're not I don't even think that everyone who's diagnosed with gender dysphoria would necessarily then qualify for puberty blockers as well. I think there would be a lot of there would be more things. Yeah, exactly. There's gonna be specific things probably especially with there's two specific bullet points about gender dysphoria that they're focused on your biological sex traits basically. So if those are the things that are giving the most dysphoria to this person, then that might be a good signal that they're a candidate for puberty blockers. But even then, I wouldn't assert absolutely it's the best case in every scenario. And then there's still going to be some people who this does end up going south for, but we have pretty good reason to believe that it's going to be bad for most people who experience this if they don't take some action. So
but anxiety and depression, these are the feelings of the extreme feelings you get with gender dysphoria that could lead you to suicide. Anxiety and depression. We have treatments for this. Why is the treatment?
We've tried those treatments. No. We have tried those treatments. They just do not work in that specific area.
Exactly.
But the thing that you're saying makes it not work is the fact that they didn't transition.
No, we're saying that if you gave someone, we're saying if you gave someone who if someone's suffering from depression and anxiety that's related to their gender dysphoria, and then you start giving them SSRIs to try to alleviate this, then what we're going to find is. Well, okay, that's a different conversation. But if we start doing all these traditional, or even therapies that are focused on helping people deal with depression in practical ways, we're still going to find that the things, if the things causing that come from gender dysphoria, then they're not going to resolve this by not resolving the gender dysphoria.
I'm just wondering how
SSRIs are paired up with therapy because, of course, you need to also as much as we do have tactics to. help with people's anxieties or depression. We still need to address the cause of that, which might be a transition. Physical.
Yeah, but like
transition.
heavy therapy, and if it was extreme to a point of suicidal thought, being in a facility where you're watched, there's so many things that happen during puberty. Your neuro circuitry connections, this all is developing during puberty. You're stopping this from happening because your hormones is actually what helps develop this. We're stopping so many other things for just in case. The causes still of long term for puberty blockers, there's still unknown causes, bone density, height, all of these things.
That's not true. We've literally had puberty blockers since like the 60s.
Them is anxiety and depression. This is what I don't understand. We're willing to give unknown to children, make them experiments, rather than treat anxiety and depression.
We're not, because we've used puberty blockers since like the 60s, because precocious
puberty only.
Exactly. So we've been using it.
In the cases of precocious puberty, if they're 7 years old, like in the case of a girl who gets precocious puberty and they hit their period at 7 years old, they even say at 7, don't give it to them because of the possible long-term side effects.
Precocious puberty, you're treating a physical issue too. So that's where it's different.
Yeah,
well, you're also treating a physical issue. We're talking about like physical issue in terms of puberty, of course. It makes it easier for them to transition.
But puberty isn't an issue. Puberty is the opposite. It's like it's healthy. If you don't go through puberty, there's something wrong with you.
One, and then you just said we're treating a physical one. So which one is it?
You're giving them a problem.
It's a combination of both.
You're giving them a pill
about your body.
You're giving them a pill that gives them a physical problem.
So we should give kids breast implants if they feel like they need bigger boobs. If
we literally do that, by the way. I'm just saying, like 16-year-olds get like fake ass titties.
Yeah,
okay, that's fine. Yeah. I'm just saying that we already do that, so it's like not like a
but
thing that's like insanely crazy.
16-year-olds in that case, and we're talking right now about in the cases.
Yeah,
of,
and I think that we're talking about just like
we're
not going
8 to 13 right now, right? Like this is a extremely
well. If
young
we're talking
age
about puberty blockers, we're probably not talking about 8-year-olds.
Yeah, we're not talking about 8-year-olds.
We're talking about when puberty would be starting.
And it's 8 to 13.
8 to 13 is when it starts.
I mean, that's like the possible range, but I think you're more. It's more likely. I think puberty blockers are generally, at least from what I've seen, and I could be wrong about this data.
I don't want to give too much information, but I have a daughter. This can happen very young in the case of kids. Like, so I don't know what you're talking about. It's 8 to 13. Look it up. It's 8 to 13.
Yeah, and but so like when that's happening, that would be a potential
kids
time.
Don't even hit puberty until 14.
Puberty happens then.
For sure.
But when they're prescribed is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Right.
So exactly. So in the case of an 8-year-old, you're okay with this kid taking puberty blockers. So how does this work?
Block their puberty,
how does wait? I just want to know how this works. An 8-year-old takes the puberty blockers for how many years?
Usually until around 16, I believe, and then they start taking hormones.
That would be
they go through.
Already fucked up the kid's fertility. After 2 years, you're fucking up the kid's fertility. So. You're cool with that?
But the point is that's why you let it roll. Like you give them time to figure out who they are. You're talking about you don't. When do kids get to decide what they like? Do you know what medical consent is?
Yes, and it's
some kids can't give.
How does a child give adequate medical consent?
What do you mean adequate? What the fuck is adequate? How do you give? Yeah, so how do you give adequate consent?
How do you know? Like, if this kid's telling
a child can't give informed consent,
they believe in Santa, right? This kid's telling you that they believe in Santa, but also telling you that they believe they're the opposite sex. So, like, we should like trust this kid's judgment of what's real.
So, you're saying that medical consent is 16, but you're advocating for medication that stops at 16.
No, I'm not talking about medication that. I mean, I guess you could say that because usually at like that age group, generally, I mean, again, I'm not a fucking doctor. I don't know if you're expecting me to be, but generally, if we're talking about the process, like if you're unaware, generally you go on puberty blockers for like, and you do like social transitioning to see. Of course, because there are doubts. You're right that people should question if they want to transition. I don't think that is a bad thing to do. And then everyone like questions like their identity. and I think that's totally fine to be able to do that. The point of puberty blockers is to give them time to figure that out, and then usually around like 16 or 15 to 16. They then will transition into taking whatever hormone that they are interested in having that puberty. So if they want to transition from woman to man or man to whatever, like then you take whatever like estrogen or testosterone around 15 to 16. So
and you use the regret rate to say why this is a good idea, right? Like, that there's people that could literally convince kids that having sex with adults is okay and they wouldn't regret it when they're older.
Do you think that 90
understand that? Should we be okay with that too?
Yeah, not just the regret rate. No, go ahead.
It's not only that we're using. We're using like suicidal ideation going down.
Suicide rate amongst trans is the highest in any demographic.
Yeah, but like all of the evidence points to that.
There's a lot of people having to do debates about their transition.
I'm sorry, it just does. This is proven. You can look at so many studies. That's the one thing.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Hornet, you've hardly spoken. You can't start yelling when you get to speak.
I'm sorry.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you. What are you saying?
But suicidal ideation has gone down. It's proven in multiple studies. We can look at it. It usually goes down between 30 to 20%. That's very significant numbers.
After transitioning, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. And generally, I think that what I was going to say when it comes to the suicidal ideation, I think that this is often appears to be tied to the way that people are treated, especially by close friends and family, more so than it is about whether they identify as trans, which is why these rates are also very high for other LGBTQ people, like gay people in general. There's also higher suicide rates than normal, often because you have a close family who doesn't accept you for who you are. And that's kind of a similar thing we're seeing here.
That's what I was saying at the beginning. I think it's all societal. I think that we are, by letting people like go under the knife or take like hormones, I think we're throwing them under the bus when the problem isn't. They're right. They're right to feel the way they feel. They're right to feel the way they feel. We're wrong to make them feel that way.
But hang on, there's also a combination of things that we're talking about. We're conflating a few different things about gender dysphoria. Like there's gender dysphoria that comes from like people seeing you as that specific gender, and there's gender dysphoria that comes from you perceiving your own body in specific ways. And there's obviously a lot of interplay between these things, but it's not just one or the other. Right. And so especially when it comes to like medical intervention, we're mostly concerned with people who are also or who are mainly suffering from their own perception of their body more so than like the way that other people might perceive them based on that body. Like
your perception of your body comes from how other people like women feel like they have to shave their legs, not because they were born to feel like they have to shave their legs. It's because society made them feel like they had to shave their legs. Mm-hmm. So, like, trans people feel like they have to be a woman or be a man.
Sure. If trans people, like, if a trans woman never saw, like, a cis woman before, then maybe she wouldn't have the picture in her head of, like, what she wants to look like or whatever. But that's not
what I'm saying. No, it's not. That's a very massive reduction. I don't think you're born to be a person that if you see a woman, that means you're going to want to be trans. I think it's the same. Like I was saying, I'm
saying that it is actually like that. They're like these people, people who are seeing other people who present and look in certain ways, and they're realizing like, hey, I don't look like that, but that's who I see myself that way.
Yes. Okay. That's so it's more. I don't think you're born to like be like I said. I don't think you're born to be a person that as soon as you see a woman, you're gonna be like, I want to be that.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. But. Yeah,
so what I was saying when I was dysphoric, when I was on Instagram and I was looking at all these beautiful women, especially like these androgynous, like skinny, like non-binary, like labeled like women. That's what I wanted to be, and and those are the people that were most respected, and I thought they were like hot, and wanting to be someone that you like other than yourself, like most people like especially when they're young and stuff, go through a period where they want to be someone else or they don't want to be who they are. They want to change themselves. I want to be Eminem. I want to be Speakeasy. Okay, he's cool. I don't want to be me. I don't want to be Smith. I want to be Speakeasy. And people go through that kind of shit. And for some people, it's gender related. And maybe it won't go away. Maybe you'll never like learn to like just love yourself, and you'll have a miserable fucking life. But I don't think that letting you fucking like take these, I think we're literally making their, even if they're happier, like we're making their lives worse. If we had a perfect pill that changed your sex like perfectly, I would just say just fucking take it. I would do it every day for fun.
Okay, so you would support then transitioning if it was perfect?
Yes, I really would. Who cares if it's easy? Like there's no distress and stuff. Just fucking do it. It's dope. But I don't
Yeah,
think
that-
I
You're
think
pretty
it sucks.
That's actually like my
Transpositive, it
position is
seems.
if we had the 100% knowledge of puberty blockers being not only safe but the absolute answer, yeah, of course this would like it, of course this would be okay. Like,
On
this
that
would-
note, speaking,
I would be barbaric to say the opposite.
I'm
But-
curious because like is your because I wanted to establish this in the beginning, but I probably should have. But like, are you like saying that like in any case of gender dysphoria, there's no justification for prescribing puberty blockers across the board? Is that your position?
Yeah, because like, okay, so I'll give you even an example. Like, so in the case of puberty blockers,
Can I point out before you do, like the even like in all these like countries recently, like I think it was Sweden and other countries that are like starting to basically ban puberty or banning like forms of gender affirming care, that their position is your position is more extreme than theirs.
Well, no, not more extreme than theirs. It's
because they're not banning all puberty blockers across the board.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah, then it is more extreme. Okay. So the reasoning, there's other reasonings for this. There's even reasonings for trans as well that I have for this. So, like in the example of like, a boy that wants to be a girl, if he takes the puberty blockers, this stops the genital tissue growth and gives them the chance that when they're older, they'll never be able to get the proper bottom surgeries. And this is actually like a big thing that everybody says is part of the process, that it helps a whole lot. So why would we take this away from them? I think helping them get through puberty and loving themselves in the end is better for them. I am actually for when you're an adult, I think there should be some type of help for trans people to get the care. I don't think they should have to pay for everything themselves. I'm for that. Mm-hmm. I'm not like against trans people. That's not my thing. I'm just for kids. There's absolutely I even make arguments for not giving pills to kids for anxiety and depression as well. Like,
me too. I think they're kind of related perspective.
I think we shouldn't fuck with kids' neurochemistry until like their frontal cortex is at least developed to the age of 18.
So that kind of brings me to another point I wanted to make about when you guys were talking about like consent and like medical consent and all this stuff earlier. I think it's important to point out that we're not just talking about like a kid deciding to do these things, but we're talking about their decision that they come to with their parents and their doctor, not just like an individual child.
How does that work?
Sure. Okay, so I once again use myself as an example, but I take
who wasn't diagnosed with gender dysphoria, right?
I take Adderall and shit because I was diagnosed with ADHD and I started taking it in middle school, and I depend on it now, and it's life is harder without it. But I really wish that I wasn't prescribed it because something that's notable to me, when people like my age, I'm 29, people whatever fucking age, when people say they don't like the drugs and they say Adderall makes me like anxious and shit, I'm like, I learned how to cope with that when I was 15. Like, that's not a problem for me. Like, I know what you're talking about, and that's easy. Fucking deal with it. So I learned how to cope with Adderall, but I never learned how to cope with not being on Adderall. I'm
glad you brought this up. I'm glad you brought this up because I have actually the exact opposite experience, where I'm like essentially a textbook case of ADHD, and I didn't go on medication until I was 25. And I do have a lot of the coping mechanisms that you're describing. And a lot of these things have been horrible for me. And when I'm not on my medication, and even sometimes when I am on medication, I still have these problems where I can cope by using like procrastination, the last minute thrill of like, oh, now I can focus on everything.
Wait, that's not a coping mechanism.
That is absolutely a coping mechanism.
Okay,
it's not a productive coping mechanism, but it is a coping mechanism.
Yes. So what I'm saying, so I do those things too. But what I'm saying is I would rather have learned how to not procrastinate, like while not taking the drugs. It would have been hard. It would have been way harder.
So if your drugs were combined with therapy for your ADHD, then it would have been a better situation.
I wish I never started taking the drugs because I'm dependent on them. And
that's fine. But if most people would be in a better position by having therapy and drugs in a lot of cases, then why would you want to rob them from that if it could be a better situation than what you're describing?
I don't think that taking the drugs is a better situation.
Yeah, I disagree.
I just
Personal
I'm not gonna
experience
stop
is
taking
really
them.
Just, like,
Got a point.
Yeah, just don't take penicillin. Just die, I guess. Like, what the fuck? Like, drugs are there to like help us with these type of things. Like, I had
That's
the same
not-
exact
You would
situation
literally
similar to
die
what we're
without
talking about with
penicillin.
radical coder.
Wait,
I'm
Nina,
just saying,
that
like,
example,
we're
though.
talking about. Obviously, I was being hyperbolic in the example. Okay, you don't need to engage with it directly. Okay, I'm just saying, like, I had the exact same situation where I didn't get diagnosed with ADHD until like I was in like my mid-20s, and I had to like, I felt like I was broken for so long. Like, I just wasn't like I felt so bad and horrible, like that I just wasn't able to think the same way as everyone else. That it was so great for me that I was able to find something that made me feel like I could engage like as a normal fucking person. So like I don't see what the problem with that is to you.
Well, were you like taking like were you also like going to therapy regularly
Yes.
and stuff like this your whole
Well,
life?
after I started taking it, sure, because that's when they prescribed it, because they're like, it seems like you have ADHD.
But that's
because
what
I
I'm
didn't,
saying.
I didn't
Like, so,
realize
like, I think
because I didn't realize I had it.
I understand, but I'm
Yo.
saying I think heavy therapy.
Personal
but-
experience is some dog shit science. This is kind of fucking silly.
Well, if you
It's
say
also
that,
just
then
Shut the
that's
fuck up
like
and
that.
engage with the arguments. I mean, you
Personal
wanna show your
experience
face
is
right
the
now, right?
entire.
Your personal
All of the
experience.
science we have for
I feel like maybe if
transitioning.
you would have had
Boring.
therapy,
All the science we have
Oh,
for
he's boring. I'm
transitioning.
sorry, he's
helped
bored.
better. You know what I
Sorry.
mean?
I couldn't hear. Everyone was talking. I couldn't hear anybody.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
Sorry, go ahead.
All the science we have for transitioning is literally personal experience and self-reporting.
Yeah, I mean, of course, because how else do you do any sort of like
data collecting.
obviously
Yeah, I don't know
we're
how else
talking
you would
about
establish that.
like a mass of personal experiences. One person's personal experience sure doesn't really mean that much, but if we're talking about how we study
Okay.
like mental things, it's obviously going to be a mass of
So-
people. That's how we like for example, like the suicide rates, 8,000 people that were surveyed when it came to the gender affirming, like, or the I'm sorry, not suicide rates, I'm sorry, the regret rates being so low. It was 8,000 people. It wasn't just one person saying that they didn't regret it. It was 8,000 people saying
But
it.
in that study, isn't there
Same.
like the people who didn't come back after, they don't count for them and stuff like that? I'm pretty sure there's some like holes in that one you're talking about.
Well, you're talking about it's a meta study of 27 studies. That was 8,000 transgender patients.
Okay. I'll have to look at it. But yeah,
I'm pretty sure that the suicide rate after like 7 years, like if you transition after 7 years, it goes like way up more than actually before. Like the suicide rate for people who have transitioned 7 years later is higher than people that never transitioned. So I think that like all of this science is just really
Do you have some
selective.
stats on that?
A bunch
Wait, do
of
you have some
selective
stats on
bullshit.
that?
I mean,
I've heard
I can
people
just
say
say,
this,
do
but
you
I've
have some
never seen
stats on
this
this stuff that
substantiated.
you're saying? And it's easier
Yeah,
to
I
find
can
the
get
stats
you.
on. It's easier to find all the shit that you're talking about because it's the people that study anything that goes contrary to what you're saying get canceled. Like even studying
No,
this
they
shit.
don't.
Like,
no,
so
they don't.
here's my
That's
model.
ridiculous.
Nope. That's not how science works. Science doesn't have
Okay,
a bias
yeah, so
one
that's
way
not-
or another.
Okay.
No,
Stop.
Well,
people
thank you,
intentionally-
Mr. Spock. Thank you, Mr. Spock. That's not how science works in your heart. But I think we live in a world
No,
where
that's
actually
just not
that is how it
science
fucking
works
works
in
because there's
general.
fucking things
Nope.
called there's fucking funding and like so your
Okay,
science starts getting a
you're kinda-
shitstorm on
I think-
Twitter.
I don't think that
and
you
now
should
now
go
your
down this
department
route.
now
You
your
are
college
just
the
showing
college
how
that
little
I
you
was
know
talking
about these
excuse
things,
me
okay.
excuse me
Yeah, and you're wrong.
I was talking so you're working at a college and so people find out about your study that this is anti-trans rights and so now like all of a sudden like there's a big shitstorm on Twitter and your college is like you need to fucking stop because we cannot have this happening right now. So
Do you have some examples of this happening?
I would advise you to talk to Phil Illey, who just wrote a massive 800-page research book on autogynephilia and the the obstacles to studying and even talking about autogynephilia. There's not even a Wikipedia page on autogynephilia.
Yes, there is.
Because
Actually,
they keep
Smith,
there
is, Smith. It exists because I looked it up before this debate. It's a thing.
Yeah, I've seen it also.
I can look that up.
There is a sub like of another Wikipedia, but the main autogynephilia like Wikipedia, it gets taken down. Like it seems like the
problem
it pisses people off.
Okay. It seems,
And
well,
it's
it seems like the
scientific.
thing that pisses, hang on. It seems like the thing that pisses people off is when people are using autogynephilia as something, as an idea to dismiss like the trans experience or the
Right.
alleviation that could come from transitioning.
Which
like,
because you could use that to dismiss the quote unquote
well,
science
no,
that
well,
the
no,
science
I'm
that
saying
you're
that,
talking
I'm saying
about.
that you can't. I'm saying the frustration comes from people doing that when it's not justified to do so. Like
Right.
it doesn't make sense
Okay.
to do that.
Sure, but the reason that we are unable to fucking talk about these things and it's hard to do science or research about this shit without getting your fucking shit defunded, getting fucking canceled and shit. It's hard to do that
Which again, you have
because
one
if it
example
goes
apparently, allegedly.
autogynephilia fucking every fucking time we
This
try
guy,
to
yeah.
research that.
Okay, just that.
Okay, so that's the one I have on the top of my head. So I think you
Okay.
should talk to a scientist or a researcher.
Well,
You should talk to Phil Illy
if
about
you're
that.
if you're saying that every person that tries to look into these subjects is getting canceled, then I would
Mhm.
expect you to have more than one example. Just
Okay.
seems like something you would have prepared for me.
Well,
Yeah, like, what
I
are all
talked
these
to
major medical
I talked
institutions-
to the
what-
the foremost, most modern researcher, most thorough modern researcher on autogynephilia, and he told me that anybody
What's
who
his name?
researches autogynephilia gets canceled and faces major obstacles. His book is
The main guy who talks about it said that everyone who talks about this gets canceled, and that's like his main claim to fame.
he's
That's
getting
crazy.
death threats.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Like Phil Illy. His
Phil-
book is The Science
Phil-
of Autoheterosexuality is his book.
Oh my god, his Twitter tag is at autogynephilic.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh fuck! Come on, yeah, you made me laugh. I'm fucking reading over here. Shit. Relevance and okay, so okay, there's a
ahead.
extremely low prevalence, and I'm just reading the study. I believe the study look up rates improvements made. Okay, so this okay, yeah, so this is the self-reported regret rate. I understand this, but the whole thing with the regret rate, Nina, is like I just don't think regret rate is a good enough because, like I was saying, I think we like there's people that you could convince that like having sex with a parent is okay and they wouldn't regret it later if you
You think 8,000
manipulated them
people?
or not.
Yeah.
8,000 people would say that.
Wait, so
In
Medical
ancient
So,
Greece,
like,
Greece-
because like
Say-
okay,
And
so like there's
27
also
different
the
research
embarrassment
papers?
of like there's also embarrassment of regret
Not
too,
even
right?
one
Like,
study.
like
so
you, like,
so I can give you a study that proves what he just said. In ancient Greece, or among other places, there was a tradition of pederasty, where like men would have sex with young boys. I think the word's pederasty. Yeah, they would have sex with young boys, and this was culture accepted. The boys are happy to do it. This was like normal, and that was just part of culture. So like just because people are like, I'm sure the regret rate for tattoos is really low. I'm sure that the regret rate for like pierce. I bet the regret rate for
You were talking about physical transitions, though. Were they doing some physical thing to them?
tattoos.
No. You're talking about pedo shit or whatever. It seems like you're kind of just trying to muddle
Yeah.
a lot of the.
Yeah. So we
water.
don't want to
Ben,
let.
do you mind?
We don't want to let kids. We don't want to let
got
like
something to say.
like
My dog is
11-year-old
doing that.
boys have like sexual relationships with like 30-year-old men. We want to
True.
protect them from that because it'd be harmful to them. But in the society where
Right.
there's pederasty, they'll be like, they'll grow up and they'll be like, oh no, that's fine. I'm glad that happened. A good example is
Oh, thank
Milo
God we don't have the
Yiannopoulos. He had the same fuck.
conservatives.
He literally said that like about himself. That happened to him and he was fine with it. So like, I don't think
Yeah, but
regret.
Well,
wait,
you're not
wait,
even
hang on. You
leftist.
opened that tangent off with like saying that you had like a study or something, and then you said like Greece, like and I
Ancient
frankly
Greece.
I bet sorry, yeah, right, ancient Greece. I mean, but like to be clear, I'm kind of suspicious that like all of these kids were just totally fine with it. And for the record, even if a kid is like allegedly fine with that, it's still raping a kid.
Right,
Even if
that's
they are
so
like
right. So
enthusiastic about
that
it.
is
right?
my
Which I know.
argument.
I
I'm
think
saying-
is your point, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But
Okay, but you're
like if we
thinking
go
that
back in
somebody
human
doing something-
history, we used to fuck people when they were 13. We were, like
So you think
13-year-old girls
trans
would
is
get
like
them pregnant and shit.
the same as like fucking people? That just seems like an incredibly.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
just
a
saying
weird
we've made
analogy.
these
Anyways,
rules to
way say things.
it was considered normal.
It's a psychological thing. You're teaching them that it's okay, so they would psychologically believe this is
To
okay.
have sex with.
Why would they think
them?
that from
'Cause-
this?
Yeah, why would they think that?
Well, they were taught into it. I'm saying they could be taught into this. right?
Are we
Like, so,
talking
like,
about like a
so,
history
like,
of
the group
trans
of
people? Or
kids,
are we
the
talking about
group of
history
kids
He's
of
that are
arguing the
raping
social
that
kids?
contagion aspect of this, and it's even if we look at that, it's going to be low numbers. We're talking like 3 to maybe 8%. So like that's not going to be the overall of all trans people that we're talking here. Yeah, there's going to be some social contagion, and I agree that's probably a problem that we should look out for. But that's why we have therapy. This is why we have safeguards in place.
Sure.
This isn't going to be something that people slip through.
when you look at the criteria though, when you look at the criteria, the minimum of 6 months, strong desires to be rid of your gender, strong desire and preferences of wearing the clothes of the opposite gender,
That's the
strong
same
preference
standard.
for cross-gender roles and make-believe play, strong
That's the same
preference for the
Mhm.
toys. This is all preferences and desires. What
Yeah.
other
The same
things
That's
standard we do for
criteria for gender
ADHD,
dysphoria.
motherfucker. Like
But
that's
that's
how
not
No,
we
it's
do
not.
criteria
anything.
for treatment.
Wait,
You
that's
understand
not
that,
the
right?
same thing. That's not
Not
the
the
same thing
exact,
for
but the
ADHD.
point is we're
ADHD
talking
is
about
not diagnosed
predilections,
off of
dude.
preferences and desires. ADHD is not diagnosed off preferences and
Okay, so how
desires.
does it diagnosed? Why don't you
What kind
explain
of
how it's
actions that you
diagnosed?
take on behalf of those like, I mean, like your desire, you might have like the desire to do something, like get started with a project, but you don't actually do it. Like
The answer
It's
to
the
all this is
desire.
let the
irrelevant,
little
but-
boy play with Barbies. Let the little boy wear a dress.
Okay.
Stop
Yeah.
making fun of these kids. Teach society that this is okay for this little boy to do whatever the fuck he wants. These
Okay,
are the
sure.
answers. It's not giving.
Yeah, what you're describing is like the basics of
neurochemistry from
initial.
developing.
Sorry,
That
what you're
doesn't
just.
make sense.
I think what you're describing is like the basics of like initial like social transitioning, like which is like gender affirming care.
No, you guys know, but you're to
I'm
say
okay
that
with
you're saying
abolitionist
you're
world.
saying
transitioning.
you're
I'm not okay with
okay, but what I'm saying-
transitioning for
you have the wait Ryan, you have the assumption that this is social transitioning, but what Speakeasy
What he just said is
Neil is right that like it's gender like post gender, like he's talking about like make a world where you don't have to socially transition to do what you want. Like you could, doesn't matter what sex you are, you play with a Barbie if you want to play with a Barbie.
Yeah, so well, I agree, but
I
like
played with
what we're talking,
Barbies.
if we're
I had
hang on,
three cousins, all
Yeah.
girls. I went to
I
their
got
house
you.
and they were playing Barbies. I fucking played with them.
me too. Okay, look,
I'm
listen,
still
I
the
feel
way
that.
I am.
But what I'm saying is that like when we talk about this initial gender affirming care, like if you're like, okay, yes, you can wear these clothes, yes, you can do these things, and we're also using she her pronouns and stuff like this, like then when that is happening, and then there's extra things that aren't being alleviated by this, but that is still beneficial in many ways, that they're satisfied with that, but there's still these other problems. That's when you might see a good case for someone who might be a candidate for puberty blockers.
I disagree because the thing that
That's
you're
fine.
saying is
Don't-
but I disagree for utterly like you can't fucking I disagree for a fucking good reason because so what you're saying is you go to the like your prescriber or whatever, or like your therapist, psychiatrist, whatever it is that's doing this, and they say, okay, it's okay for you to wear dresses, it's okay for you to wear Barbies, and they go home and they wear dresses and they do with Barbies. The reason that they feel like that's not okay still exists just because their therapist told them that doesn't, whether it be from the TV ads or like people around them, the people at their school, their family, like for just sure. their community. Like that is where the community needs to be the person that tells them, not their therapist. So, and that's a big issue. We can't snap our fingers and make that go away. But that is the place that we should be focusing. Like, so we can't. I don't think we should be focusing on how to make an individual trans person stop being dysphoric and stop being trans. I think we need to be focusing our science on the model of scientific research that I would go on that doesn't rely on self-reporting would be doing studies on what causes people to be insecure about themselves and what things that are from our society are making people feel this way. And I think insecurity is a fundamental core part of dysphoria. And so I think literally studying insecurity, how that works, how gendered insecurity works, and what influences we are subjecting people that cause these things. And that is how we solve the transgender issue. We don't solve it by putting people under the knife and giving them hormones.
Right. I think so I think that's a very noble goal where you're describing about forming a society that's more accepting in all these different dimensions. I'm with you. Hell yeah, let's go. However, this doesn't help a parent who's trying to help their child who's dealing with this right now. This doesn't help them at all. Like what you're saying is a cute ideation. I would love to live in that world. We don't live in that world, and that's not something we can't help a child right now with that dream of a better world.
Right.
And we also don't know that better world would even necessarily eliminate the dysmorphia from like the biological sex issues. Like, in fact, we probably wouldn't see that go away completely.
I agree with you, except for my other argument. I don't think that the gender affirming care, I don't think that it actually makes you makes your life worse. It makes you suffer more.
Based off of what?
Yeah.
Based off of what?
Like you're literally, it's like cutting off it, or you're literally like, it's a massive detriment just because
Did
you're,
you have
you're
gender
hurting your
affirming care?
body. You're hurting your body, and that's what you want to do. That's gonna make you happy. Like cutting your
You're
dick
hurting
off
your body.
is like, if you don't want to have a dick and you cut your dick off, well, I guess maybe you're happier because you cut your dick off. But
I mean, that's
Well, you
also
know,
like a
mo-
very, very tiny subset of trans people.
Yeah,
even.
yeah.
I know,
You know,
but
most
it's-
trans people don't do bottom surgery, right?
okay, well, that's the extreme example. We could say hormones, and so you hate that you want to like change your hormones, which is gonna like it's gonna lower your life expectancy. It's gonna like osteoporosis, fucking, it's gonna destabilize your hormones. You're gonna have to like
that true?
relearn how to be like a human being because you don't even know how to like
Well,
function with
you're
different
saying
hormones.
you're just
I
talking
think
about
that bottom
detransitioners,
surgery
though.
thing too is like that's another kind of like good argument for why they should wait until they're like at least 18 to start doing anything. Like if most of them aren't getting bottom surgeries, then what's like the other physical changes that are so like you can take?
Well, there's a lot more. I mean, bottom surgery is like,
you can start
or like
taking estrogen.
Well,
when
hormones
you're-
are to some extent way
But
more
you can start
significant
taking
than
estrogens at, like, 17.
physical bottom
I would be
surgery.
okay with this, you know. It's if someone's tying down their
You know,
boobs
you
from
could-
the
you could
age that
take
they hit
estrogen and you would
puberty
get
to
big-ass
17, then
titties.
this probably is someone that really needs to change the physical
Better.
appearance.
when we're talking about puberty
When we're
blockers,
talking
it's
about kids, we're like,
Yeah.
especially in my case where I said, what about the 8-year-old that feels this? You said you're okay with them taking
Well, if they're not having
puberty
puberty,
blockers
then we're
from
not going to give them a
eight-
puberty
from 8
blocker.
to 16 years old. They fucked up every choice they have. The neurochemistry is fucked up because it's not developing right.
But
That's the problem with puberty blockers. There's actual physical things that when you're
They're
going
not
through
making these
puberty, your
choices in a
hormones are also
vacuum.
developing mental things as well.
well, can we also
Isn't
it-
like that?
In
What
a
you're that
vacuum.
case you're describing
What
is
the fuck
probably
does a
like
child
the,
even know?
that case sounds like an extremely rare scenario where someone's starting at 8 and being on puberty blockers for 8 years. Like that, isn't it like normally between like 3 to 4 years, which is like
Yeah,
what most of the science
studies
suggests is
show
safe.
that
Yeah,
past
it depends.
24 months, you're already fucking with your fertility. So 3 to 4 years is already too much.
Yeah, you're potentially risking some
dudes
fertility
do that
issues.
shit
But
all the time with testosterone shit to work out, bro. It's like
When
people
they're-
do this
Well, we
all
shouldn't
the time.
like
Yeah, when they're
so,
adults,
so
but-
people with
When
big
they're
anorexia.
adults,
So
I'm
let's say
okay
that
with
you
this,
go to
even.
you
wait,
go
wait,
to a
real quick.
science.
One last thing on
I
what
think
Speakeasy
that
just
there
said.
should be actual like paid
Yeah,
for care by the government for trans people when they're adults. I think there
Sure.
should be this. That's what I fight for, but I'm not gonna sit here and fight for kids
Can I-
to take any type of things that's fucking with their mental.
Just something
That's
very
my
quick to
issue.
say. Very quick. I wanted to say about the fertility thing specifically is that a lot of times, like this, it will be advised for people who are like going on puberty blockers and stuff to like freeze eggs or sperm, right? So these are things that like potentially are considered, and like kids are learned. Like
Look at that.
obviously this is a risk. I agree, this is a risky
Look
thing.
at that Jez Jennings
That
girl
shit's
on
wait.
TV right
Yeah.
now. She
was on puberty blockers for, like,
because
too
she
long,
she'll
right?
never have an orgasm. She couldn't have the proper bottom surgery.
How long was
Like,
she on
she's
puberty blockers for?
miserable,
No.
You know?
Like a very long time, right? Like longer than the recommended time. That's just
Yeah,
what
she
I'm saying.
started at like 7 years old. It's horrible.
Okay, wait, something I just want to say, like that. No, everybody that brings up like freezing eggs and shit, like I just a pet peeve of mine. Like, you know how much money a surrogate mother costs? Like, okay, so now you have
Around
to be
$30,000.
Jeff Bezos. You have to be Jeff Bezos now.
Okay.
So you're trans. If you want to have kids, you better fucking work. Work that your fucking new ass off. Okay.
We're talking about trade-offs though. We're talking about risks and trade-offs and like what thing we're weighing different things against each other, right? And yes, there are going to be some issues. There are potential fertility issues. I don't know what the rate of people who become completely infertile after like a couple of years of puberty blockers. I do you have data on that, Speakeasy? Because
Well,
I suspect that's also a very low amount of people who are even of this small subset.
Literally in everything that you've ever searched on puberty blockers, one of
It
the
talks about
potential
potential fertility
long-term
issues.
effects is unknown. That's one of them.
That's everything.
Okay.
It's everything has unknown.
No, not the way puberty blockers do. We don't have proper studies on puberty blockers. We use them in the cases of precocious puberty.
Wait, and you're
Like,
specifically
this
also
isn't a study for trans youth.
you're
This
mainly
is
talking
a
about like the
study for
long-term
gender
use of puberty
dysphoria.
blockers
So
as well,
everything
right?
you guys use to confirm anything to do with puberty blockers, you're using it for something that's in the case of precocious puberty.
the
That's
vast
the
amount
problem here. In the
of
case
research.
of trans youth, we are letting trans youth be fucking guinea pigs, and I'm not okay with that.
You're just lying. So
I'm not though.
No, he's
just
not.
Google it one time. Taking puberty blockers does not affect your fertility.
Okay, just Googling one
Wait.
time, got it.
Yeah,
I don't think that's. I think there are risks.
my guy.
I
Yeah,
think there is
are
evidence that there's like fertility
doesn't
risks,
mean
but it's
that you're
not
gonna
like.
be
Yeah.
you're not going to be directly infertile, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Taking estrogen and testosterone will absolutely fuck up your fertility. So if we want to have that conversation, that's fine. But I'm saying, like, I don't think that we should be talking about that directly when it comes to puberty blockers, because puberty blockers alone do not affect your fertility in a like significant amount, more than something like Accutane would.
It's not about the blockers. It's about the fucking time you're spending on them. Water won't drown you.
No, it's about it's not. It's not even about that, dude. It's about the
yes, it is.
I mean, obviously being on it for a longer time, sure. But the thing that it's the transition into being like or taking testosterone or estrogen. That's the thing that will cause you to be infertile.
No, it's the amount of time that you're on puberty blockers.
It's denying your body the time to grow with its natural hormone.
You have some studies on that or what?
Google once.
Let's Google once.
I did.
I'm gonna Google
and
that, and I'll find something.
I'm
gonna go cherry pick an article and then hand it to you. Just like that's the game we're playing right now, I guess.
We'll both do it.
I'm just saying the first thing that happens.
I'm gonna Google the suicide rate after 7 years post-transition versus pre-transition.
Okay, go ahead.
That's the one, because all of the research that you guys like that your side has to depend on is all short-term research. And I'm saying it's gonna make your
Smith.
It's bad data.
Yeah, because you're saying the people who never continued with the transition were happier with their outcome, just as the people who continued all the way are also happier with their outcome. That's why they took their different paths.
I'm saying, the thing that I think, but I could be wrong. I might be wrong, but I want to figure out is I remember hearing that post-transition after 7 years, the overall rate for suicide amongst those people is higher than people that never transitioned.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I'd be interested to see that. But I if you do have one study that says that, I would also point out that as far as we know, that's the only one that allegedly says this.
Yeah, we have multiple that say the opposite. So
yeah.
Yeah, it seems like.
Yeah, like I said, I like regret rate. This is like a dumb answer to like I said, like what if my daughter wanted to be a mermaid? And she said, like, just let me sleep in the bath with water every night. Like, I'll feel so much better. Like, what should this be the answer to her feeling like a mermaid? Or how about sewing her legs
actually
together
say that?
so that she has a fin? Is this a good answer to my daughter wanting to be a mermaid and going to commit suicide if she doesn't want to be a mermaid?
Well, again, we're not talking.
I want to be the rapper dude, and he wants tattoos when he's younger. Or
is that her identity? If she wanted you, wait, hold on, let me ask you.
These are identities. Yes, these are identities. Just like gothic is an identity, and it starts around the same age as puberty does normally. People who go through their gothic emo phase, it's around that same time.
If she wanted you to call her by a different name, if she wanted to change her name, she was really desperately like interested in like having you call her by a different name, would you think that it is worth it to not do it if she was like literally that distraught about it where it was over
calling her a different name doesn't have actual
years?
Negative outcomes on her. There's no negative outcomes on calling her a different name.
Okay, so you're okay. None. That's fine. Absolutely so, but you would. So, can you answer my question though? You would be okay with like you would probably just call her the different name, right? Because she's desperately wanting you.
That's what I said. Yeah.
All right,
so fine. There's absolutely no outcome.
Okay, hold on. Let's talk about some science here, because I was just reading. I just found the review that the study that you were referring to that goes over 20. What is this? The study that goes over 23 other studies that you're using as evidence that says that people have like lower
27.
suicide rate. Yes. Okay. Here's the abstract for that. I'm going to read you the abstract, and I'm going to. Okay, now we're not going to use this study. The abstract for this, I can link it to you.
I'll post it
I can't just with my ADHD, I can't just listen. I'll have to read it alongside you.
Okay, hold on, I'll find it. How do I send it to you through this?
Just in the private chat here.
Wait, there's an unknown percentage of transgender and gender nonconforming. This one, right? That's the background.
Hold on. Where is? I need to find my second thing. Oh, here it is.
Well, I posted it in the Ryan. It's in the private chat on the in the.
Oh, this is the same one we're
streamer.
looking
I
at?
just
Okay,
posted
sorry.
it.
Yeah, in the StreamYard there. Yeah.
It is right. Or
Yeah,
am I-
Right. I just
Yeah,
gave
yeah.
you
You
a
put
link.
it there. And I
Right,
linked it
it's-
in the YouTube
Okay.
chat.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the abstract. Gender affirming treatment remains a topic of controversy. Of particular concern is whether gender affirming treatment reduces suicidality. A narrative review was undertaken evaluating suicide related outcomes following gender affirming surgery, hormones, and or puberty blockers. Of the 23 studies that met the inclusion criteria, the majority indicated a reduction in suicidality following gender affirming treatment. And then that is the first couple sentences. Then there's still a bunch more left. However, the literature to date suffers from a lack of methodological rigor that indicates the risk of type 1 error. There is a need for continued research in suicidality outcomes following gender affirming treatment that adequately controls for the presence of psychiatric comorbidity and treatment. So literally, like what you're saying is evidence that says that that's the better thing is not evidence that it's the better thing. It's just evidence that it does something, but no, it's not the best like treatment whatsoever, because they're saying that psychiatric is the thing that they have not tested for comorbidities for. Substance use, psychiatric comorbidity and treatment, substance use, and other suicide risk enhancing and reducing factors. There is also a
real quick,
need for,
just to that, can we like point out that like this is true, that like among all of these 23 studies they're looking at, that there is need for more control among these specific factors, but that doesn't mean that the evidence doesn't broadly point in one direction, because they absolutely say that.
This is standard like study, like if you read any study about anything, it's gonna say like language like that. That doesn't really mean anything in particular. Like
particularly when it comes to reviews, they're going to be looking at a bunch of different studies. They're going to find things that aren't represented as much across these different studies, and what that tells us are things that we can focus on in studies moving forward. It doesn't negate the findings that we had.
Okay, so like what I was just saying, in isolation, this shows us that people in a narrative review, people will say that they feel less suicidal after having gotten the fucking thing that they want, but this doesn't this does not control adequately for the presence of psychiatric comorbidity and treatment, substance use, and other suicide risk enhancing and reducing factors. So literally nothing else. So this is not a comparative study to justify one thing over another thing. This is just a matter of a fact. If you look at people that have gotten these treatments, they're going to say, "Oh yeah, I feel less suicidal." And of course they are. If you do that with anything that people want, they're going to be like, "Oh yeah, I feel less suicidal now." Like if you fucking say I'm suicidal because I wanted to be anorexic,
so how
I'm
would you measure suicidality?
I would measure it in statistics. This is a narrative.
Commit suicide?
Yes.
So you think that's a big enough assessment? Do you think that suicidality should only be measured on the metric of people who actually go out and do it?
Yes. Is this a real question?
Do you know anything about so we're talking about suicidality, people who have suicidal ideations. So the only reason that you would measure it is based off of how many people commit suicide.
That's wild.
I would measure how many people commit suicide based. You changed it mid thing there. Suicide ideation. No, that's not how I would measure suicide ideation. I would measure suicide. I would measure the risk of you committing suicide by the statistics of the people that commit suicide.
How often it happens. That's so myopic that I don't even know what to tell you.
Why is that myopic? Seems like the absolute. I don't understand how you could possibly think that any other way of studying it could possibly be worth looking at.
Okay, so what causes people to commit suicide? You're just gonna base it off of how many suicides are done and what?
Okay, so let's have this whole conversation about this retarded suicide ideation thing, and then the actual rate of suicide is something completely different, and that's the important thing, because we're talking about the risk of actually committing suicide. So maybe we should look at the actual risk of committing suicide and not the risk of suicide ideation. So yeah.
Is that a question, or you're just saying?
No, it was not a question. I was just saying, I was responding to what you said.
Okay, so you realize how ridiculous the idea of just judging suicide ideation?
I don't realize it because it's not ridiculous.
Okay, so how would you judge something like I don't know, schizophrenia?
What is there, like, in what way?
Like, how would you study it? Because apparently they have to do something. Because we can't talk about like the mental studies. They just have to
tell
like
them
do.
there's actually people talking.
They
Yeah. So
they have to,
like
like,
so
do
yeah, we can we can do a study on the amount of times that people with schizophrenia commit suicide. That's a solid number. Or we
That's
can
how
do.
we can figure out. Go ahead.
Wait.
Sorry. Didn't mean to cut you off.
Is the reason we brought up schizophrenia was because this is generally measured through like self-report of symptoms, right?
Yeah, but I'm not talking about like I'm talking about using a measurement that's not self-reporting, like the actual number of suicides, like among groups, so to show the actual risk. So if you were talking about schizophrenia, so I was like, that's so what? So maybe you want the number of schizophrenics who buy a house. Then you can compare and contrast. You could have a study on the life outcomes, maybe the home ownership, like maybe homelessness of people with schizophrenia, and that would be a solid, undisputable, like factual number that you can go by. And then we can try to talk about why. And then when you get into the nitty gritty of the psychological aspect of why, maybe you have to do self-reporting. But a matter of fact is of them being more homeless is something that you can't argue with because it's a fact, like solid science. And we're not using those because in the case of this trans stuff, we want to go by what makes trans people happy, and we don't want to actually go by like solving any actual issues. And the thing that makes them happy is transitioning because they want to transition.
But when you say the thing that makes them happy,
no, that's not true. This is why I hate when we use the word happy because we want better mental outcomes for them.
I was speaking loosely. Let me rephrase what I said. Like the thing that they want is to transition. So giving them the thing that they want is going to make them.
The thing that they want is to not experience the symptoms of gender dysphoria anymore.
Right.
That's what they want.
Saying, right?
And so if you start,
it's not.
Well, hang on.
It's
listen,
the transition.
This is that's cute, but listen. If
it's not cute.
This is why it is cute because this is why if you say that like if we have social transitioning initially, like gender affirming care, which could include initially socially transitioning. If somebody starts doing this, they start presenting as a girl, they start they change their name, they start dressing this way, and then they start to like hate this. That's a good sign that this was the wrong decision for them, and then this person would probably be a really bad candidate for something like puberty blockers, right? So like we are going to look at we're not just going to look at like
you don't think someone with Munchausen syndrome could probably be convinced that maybe
there are outliers where there could be some crazy stuff, but
we went back to the fucking argument before. Just because your therapist says like, oh, you can wear dresses now doesn't change the factors in your life that made you like that in the first place. So
no, it's not like your therapist is granting you permission to wear dresses now. The therapist is suggesting, why don't you do this for a while and report back, let us know how you feel after you've been doing this, after people have been engaging with you in this way, and what are ways, and also keeping
people engaging. You can't tell people to just like treat you right then have it happen. So
you're right.
So that's just not like what you're saying.
So
is
this would be, but this would also be a topic in therapy.
People with bad parents.
Therapists aren't stupid. They're aware of the shit you're talking about. You're not like bringing some brand new insight.
Who use Instagram, who see pretty girls, they're a better candidate for a transition because they're gonna fucking that's an influence that's gonna affect them. Like people that don't use Instagram, they're gonna be less likely to need that. And
like what about kids too like that like are questioning their sexual feelings for the same sex and they're having the same they think, oh, if I was a girl nobody would be making fun of me about like, don't you think homophobia might be a big thing too about people feeling gender dysphoria?
It could.
Right. So like this is what I'm saying. There's social and psychological things that need to be treated way before the physical.
Sure, but
Yes,
if we're talking about like social Go ahead.
Those are underlying features that we're going to be looking at when we're doing the therapy. They're going to be distinguishing what these are. Like if you have bipolar disorder, you might have this need to transition, but it's not going to be they're not going to be recommending you to transition at that point because that's another medical issue that you have to treat. And if the dysphoria is still consistent after they treat then
no, this is you assuming that every doctor is perfect and they're going to be able to distinguish the symptoms every time. This is what you're doing right now. Perfect. You're assuming that every doctor is just some non-human being that is completely perfect that's going to be able to distinguish the difference
between these
every time.
No, but
this isn't how life is.
Sure, and there are going to be doctors that fall short on this, but the more that we establish productive norms in this domain, the better results we're going to see, right?
Wait, say that again.
The more we invest in establishing good norms for doctors to follow in these domains, the better the results will be, right?
Okay, so
Right.
I
We
just
want
looked at new
doctors.
studies.
We want doctors to be able to
Criteria
differentiate
right
the things
now,
you're describing.
The criteria right now is like 6 months of the parent saying that the kid has been feeling gender dysphoric, and then a bunch of desires and preferences for opposite sex things. This is the criteria.
The criteria to be diagnosed with gender dysphoria.
For
Yes.
giving kids fucking medical.
But hang on. Well,
there's
there's
nothing
a
criteria for
distinction there, though.
different treatment is going to be
medical
different.
to treat this.
Not everyone who's diagnosed with gender dysphoria is going to be immediately starting puberty blockers. That's the leap you're making there. Like the qualifiers you're talking about, yes, are true for diagnosing gender dysphoria.
In YouTube, detransitioners, and watch 1,000 different people telling their stories of how they just went
I'm
to the
sure
doctor.
I'm gonna see
and
the same
it was
13 people.
pardon.
No, there's a lot more than that, and they're like
There's a lot of detransitioners.
Is there
I'm
but
being-
exponentially
relatively
growing?
small. There's also a lot of trans people who will tell you about their experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah, and trans people will tell you how they're still miserable and dysphoric.
If you want, the doctor that's helping Jazz Jennings says the problem with these kids taking puberty blockers is when they need the bottom surgery now, the genital tissue hasn't developed right. A
That can happen.
doctor is saying this on national television. Should we not take the word of this doctor that actually does this stuff?
What, because they're a doctor? Like, what?
Okay, I got another study, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
I got another study.
Okay.
To that point, real quick before you do, I think in the
Go and link it though. I'll take a look.
Yeah. Please
Well,
post it in the chat.
I did.
I like to the doctors talking about this. I think that what that is a concern, especially for people who are on puberty blockers for way longer than most people are. Right? Like I'm pretty sure that Jazz Jennings person, if I remember correctly, it was on puberty blockers for like 7 or 8 years. Right? Like this is an example of a huge outlier in terms of this stuff.
Okay, I just wanted something I just noticed. I wanted to point out. So, like, when we're talking about detransitioners, you're like, oh, well, if you look it up, well, that doesn't mean shit. Just see whatever. But, like, then you'll just fucking look up for anything for your own convenience and look at whatever the first thing that agrees with you and say that's evidence.
Smith, do you think the rate of detransitioners to people who don't detransition, do you think that rate has stayed consistent, or do you think that there's a lot more detransitioners now compared?
I don't know. I don't know. I know that there are a lot more detransitioners, but there's also a lot more transitioners. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I'm asserting that it's probably remained pretty consistent.
Probably.
Yeah.
No, actually, no, probably not. It's probably gone up because now there are people. Like, I think that the exponential growth in female to male transitioning is a social contagion issue, like just like the TikTok Tourette's thing is a social contagion issue, and I think that those people are going to be more likely to.
I'm sorry. What?
Yeah, what's the TikTok one?
The TikTok Tourette's thing.
This is
a sign. Yeah, no, actually no, but this is I'll fucking get you the research on that. There's So we'll have to go over that too.
They're going to be ridiculously low for social contagion. So we're arguing about
you're wrong. The thing I'm talking about is an exponential growth in the female to male transitioning, not a growth. Actually, did you know right now there are far more female there are far more female to male transitioners than there are male to female, and that was the opposite like 5 or 6 years ago. But it's grown exponentially, skyrocketed. It's unfathomable. Like nobody knows fucking why. The reason is social contagion.
You're familiar with the left-hand argument.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
You have no idea what the left-hand argument is. Okay, so there is a time in that where being left-handed was seen as being like satanic. Okay, so there was a lot of effort to make sure that people who are left-handed were not left-handed, right? During the 30s or 20s to 1960s or whatever, they stopped doing that. They stopped like beating people if they're left-handed. So what we saw was a trend of it exponentially growing, like you're saying, right? But it ended up like capping off at I think about 12%. Now 12%. No, I'm not done. 12% of people are now left-handed, but it wasn't because they were now left-handed for any social contagion reasons. It's that they were always left-handed. It was that they just were taught not to be left-handed.
Okay, so you've got that's a theory. You can say that.
No, it's a fact.
No.
It's not a theory.
So
it's a fact.
that is a theory. You can say that, well, transitioning is like being left-handed, which is not.
Okay.
So it's just like a vague metaphorical theory that this could be like that.
It's not a
but there
theory,
is
it's just a
actually
true
studies
stat.
and science behind the social contagion theory. So I think that we
And
should
they
go
call
for
that.
this.
Yes,
for
there
ticks,
is. There,
for
I,
ticks
I
specifically?
100% agree with you, Smith. But those numbers are going to be small. We're talking ridiculously low. From the data that I've seen, it goes from 2 to 8%. That's nothing.
That's
and
a
we're talking-
massive differential. Like, why is it 2 to 8%? That makes no fun. Like why?
It went from 2 to 14% or 12% for left-handed people. It's not a huge...
And really, what that
Okay.
suggests to me is that that's another
So
thing
just
that we
in
would
one
want.
case when
hang on,
exponential growth
real
didn't
quick.
mean social contagion. That means we
Wait.
have an example of a time when left-handed growth didn't mean social contagion. So that means that anytime we see exponential growth, it doesn't mean social contagion. Well, like roll your eyes all you want. You're incredibly anti-science.
Okay, that's great.
That's adorable you saying that.
What I'm saying about the social contagion thing is that if this is a real thing that we do have to be concerned about, then this is again something that we can establish norms for therapists and psychologists and whatever to be aware of while they're navigating this.
That's the thing with the Tourette's study. They found there was a viral. I don't know if it's still happening, but there was like a viral thing happening on TikTok where people would be faking Tourette's, and like there were people that were caught doing this, but it started becoming a big trend, and people would make a TikTok career out of faking Tourette's, and like lots of young girls and teenage girls were imitating Tourette's, and they actually started like developing tics that were like long-lasting, permanent tics, and they had Tourette's-like symptoms that actually weren't like real Tourette's. They were like glamorized Tourette's. So this was like a thing, and they did this study so that they did this study so that they could inform like psychiatrists and therapists like about this trend, so that when they see people with these symptoms, they know what is happening. But it is real. Like they actually do have a thing now. But it's like
But again, all that does is add another thing that doctors should be aware of. Which of course there's going to be a million things because it's a very complex issue. There's going to be a lot of things that need to be accounted for and need to be talked about through large amounts of therapy to try to deal with people's gender dysphoria, right? But even if that didn't exist, like you'd still be against the puberty blockers. So I don't know why we're spending so much time on this point specifically.
Okay. So the study that I recently I just linked, it says it is correction of a key study, no evidence of gender affirming surgeries improving mental health. This is from 2020. It says original study by original study is from 2019 by Brandstrom Patchankins. Is that the one that we were talking about earlier? Let me see. No, it's not.
I don't know.
No, because that was about suicide. This one is about improving mental health, which is what I believe it doesn't improve your mental health. Like just because you're going to self-report that you're happy that you're glad you're less suicidal. I don't think it's going to just because you're less suicidal doesn't even mean you have better mental health necessarily. But
okay. So
at least in that dimension, it does.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
I mean, it
anyways,
depends on the metric being studied, I suppose.
Yeah.
After the study was published, many researchers and scientists, including some SEGM advisors, I don't know what the fuck that means right now, altered the AGP to multiple serious methodological problems that challenged the study's conclusion. In response, the AGP editor requested that an independent statistical review of the data, which led to reanalysis of the data and an official correction. When gender dysphoric patients who received surgeries were compared to those who did not have surgeries, there was no statistical significant difference in their mental health utilization.
Right. So just to be clear, that's different from what you were saying initially about it getting worse, right?
Right. Also, this is an article. This isn't
getting worse. That's my. I believe that.
Staying the same is getting worse.
I believe that. So I think that if you are anorexic and you like starve yourself because you could be anorexic without being dysmorphic. Like you could understand exactly what you look like without thinking that you're fat, and you can just be like, I need to be skinny. And that's what I was. I didn't think I was fat. I was like, I need to be skinny. So you could be like that, and then starving yourself and being skinny is going to make you like feel less like dysphoric because you look the way you want to look, but that doesn't mean you're healthier. Like I think that by starving yourself, you're mentally more unhealthy because you're playing into mental illness.
Do you want me to
I
actually
agree.
read you what this article is based off of?
Sure.
The result of that just means that basically over a long period of time, their mental health was pretty normal. However, increased since the last time that they got gender affirming surgery was associated with reduced mental health issues. So it kind of actually cucks your entire point. Did you read the study that it was based off, or did you just read the article?
Okay. I don't fucking know, dude. I'm just Googling shit and fucking reading shit. Like
Okay,
I
well
don't
then
think this.
don't act so confident about it. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me read it. I would like to read it. Where is this?
In your article, there's like a thing that says study, and you can like click that to
Yeah.
read the
Okay,
thing it was
got it.
based off of.
I got it.
Mm.
I got it. Okay, let me read this.
Whisper in my ear more. Anyways, I guess do we all just? Hey guys, what's going on? Ryan, it's really nice to see you.
You too,
again,
Nina.
of
Always a
course.
pleasure. Yeah.
Hornet, I wish I could see your beautiful face, but is it because you
You
don't
got
have
a
a
I
beautiful
camera
don't
that
have a
works?
picture.
camera. Yeah.
I thought you were gonna
Oh,
say I don't
no.
have a beautiful face. Not that I think you're ugly, but that's the way you started that sentence.
I'm sure they have a beautiful face. I wish I could also see Mudcrab's beautiful face. I just think it's like kind of a nice thing to have together as friends.
The beautiful back of their head.
Oh, speak
There you
he's
go.
back. He has beautiful face.
Yo, that was the rarest thing you guys ever seen just now, bro. I can't believe I got
Yeah.
to see that. This guy
his face?
never
Yeah.
does that.
Crazy.
Yo.
Wait,
Oh,
what
I missed it.
happened?
Get
Did
those
I miss it?
screenshots in, boys.
Yo, chat, give me a shot of that, motherfucker. Yo, this
Don't
Speak
guy
forget
easy. I
never
your
think
does
your
band.
hair
that.
looks fantastic, by the way.
All of them.
Thank you, Nina. Thank you.
It really does, man.
I appreciate that.
We're all gonna go for that. We're all comrades here.
Based.
Yeah, that's what I always like. I don't know, like some people
Okay.
always like when we have these arguments, they think that my position is that like I'm against trans people in general, and that's not what I
Kind
fight
of
for.
sounds like you are.
No,
No,
I get
actually,
that.
can I say
that.
I
do get that, but for
Yeah.
my thing, it's for kids. Like I have kids. I
Yeah,
understand
it's-
what kids can. I have 3 kids, so each of them. Well, my 2 oldest already. My son's gonna go through it soon, but like I've seen what happens during the time that they're starting to reach puberty here, and there's so many different things that happen that like for us to just be able to determine what they actually feel or think themselves rather than what's influencing them to feel these ways, it's hard to weigh this. I feel like
Okay, well, can we maybe if you're gonna search this, I want to ask this question. While we let Smith talk about this. This is like a joke that I always like to make. Do you think if like you could like influence people? We've been like straight groomed for a very long time, and the gays and the trans have still always existed. So it just seems like to me that like grooming like that in terms of like media, it doesn't really work because
I
the
think it does the
gays
opposite.
have always existed, or the transes have always existed since like literally like thousands of years ago.
Mhm.
So it doesn't
there's
really seem like the
there's a
grooming of the
social
culture
evolutionary
does a
reason
lot.
for that, right? There's not a biological evolutionary reason for that, but there is a social evolutionary reason for that, and I understand that gay
That it doesn't
people is a
work?
real thing.
I think-
understand that
I
gay
th-
people is a real thing. Like I get that.
I don't even.
know,
I don't
okay.
necessarily even think that, but I don't think that being gay, like I said, like if you could be trans, I don't think that, but that doesn't mean I don't respect gay people. Like I mean, I've sucked dicks.
Wait, what are you saying?
So, but I just don't. I just don't think.
support you.
I just don't think that you're actually born with it, which is controversial. But I think we
Go,
have to
mama.
think. We have to say that in order to respect it. I don't think like we need to like just because you're gay doesn't mean we can convert you to not being gay.
Well, can I
And
ask
I
you,
think-
like, are you bisexual or?
Yeah, I'm more straight than I'm gay. I prefer women, but I think you can be if all the women like disappear from the planet, I'd make do. You know, like that's how I feel. You know, so.
Right.
Okay, so what did I mean? Obviously, you've been socially conditioned to, like, you know, as you know, a biological male. I assume you are, right? You mentioned it earlier, so what do you find, like, you've been conditioned to be like, oh, you like women or whatever? Like, what made the change for you? If you don't mind me asking, you don't have to answer this if you don't. If I don't want to.
I just experimented and I think that I like naturally am attracted to women more, but like.
Chris,
I think if I wanted to be gay and like make my life about being gay, I could be perfectly happy.
well, I don't think
So
you
you
have
have
to
a
pick.
preference. You just didn't hate it.
Well, I don't think you have to pick.
I don't think you're
saying,
born.
like,
I don't think you're born with that preference. That's what I'm saying. I think that you develop that preference.
Right. Okay.
And I think like you're naturally like more inclined to be straight, but I don't think there's anything wrong with being gay. But the thing that's different, like so say like through whatever like chaos in your life, now you're a gay person, and like I'm not saying you can try to convert them into not being gay. I'm saying you're gay, okay? But with being trans, the things that we do to help trans people, like the affirming care, I think that make your life worse. Like if we had like snapping your fingers, like making you different gender, I'd just
too far.
do it for fun.
You're going too far with this. I'm asking, like, okay, so you're saying that you obviously you have been interested in both, which I am as well. So, found it.
I guess.
Oh yeah, I am also pansexual or whatever. So like, if you're going to acknowledge that, then it just seems odd for me personally that you would deny, like, you just have whatever, you know, things that you're interested in, right? Like, and you've been groomed to be straight your entire life, right? Would you agree with that? I mean, I've been groomed to be straight my entire life. I went to a Christian school, so trust me.
Sure.
Didn't
Okay. I'm not
I
sure.
think it's just more normal.
Sort of.
Like I think it's just normal on average, Nina.
Exactly,
Like,
right.
I don't mean to say normal. Like I don't mean to say normal to
Maybe.
make other
No, it
people feel
absolutely
I'm
bad.
not sure. I can't tell.
I mean
I can't
normal
tell.
as in like on average, people are heterosexual on average.
Right.
Yeah, but Steve, easy to that. Real quick to that point though, like there are also like I think Texas like just a couple of years ago like banned an episode of Arthur where there was a gay marriage. Like so there is also like explicit like hiding the validity of this of people being gay from children as well. So that's
right.
I can't
Texas
tell. I think that might make people be more gay.
So let's not like go by Texas.
I'm just saying like this should happen, you know.
I think
it's not just Texas. Like to be
I mean,
I think
I'm
that-
not gay because I think it's different.
You know what I mean? Like Texas is wild.
Yeah,
bro.
I like
you know
both.
the tiger there, bro. They're a little bit wild over there.
I think there are probably more gay people right now than there used to be in the past, and I don't think it's just because they're out of the closet. I think there might just be. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, unless we got
I think
to
it being more acceptable.
It would be something maybe depending on like the population or like there's an argument to be made like if we got to like 70% gay population, that could be a problem, you know, because now we're not like reproducing theoretically.
Okay, but that's
like
the
other than that, it's not a problem at all.
Yeah. Also,
Just
there's
women are
plenty
too
of
wild
like
these days, bro.
there's
Some
plenty
of the bros would just rather deal with the bros.
yeah, there's plenty of gay people that want to adopt children, of course, like because they like to have kids, you know, as like a family. Like, yeah, it's a normal thing, whatever. I don't really think that's a big problem personally, but I just find it interesting to like I don't think that's ever gonna happen. I think that we're gonna do like the left-handed thing where it hits 12% and it's been steady for like years, like 40 years or something. It's been steady at 12% left-handed population, which to me speaks to, if we're looking at like statistics, would we just be like, oh, it just means that like they're like the normal population of people who are left-handed is probably like 12%. You know, there's probably, I mean, I personally
genetic,
think,
right?
sorry,
That'd be genetic, no? You're left-handed, being left-handed, that'd be genetic, not something you're taught or anything.
Well, I think the point is that like it's kind of hard to say.
Acquired trait.
A lot of times the frustration.
are you genetically gay? You know,
No,
like it just
I
it's
don't
not going to
know.
like
I don't know about this.
exponentially.
But I'm
Wait.
Okay,
saying
sorry.
we-
Let me finish really quick.
Right.
Like the point is like we're talking about exponential growth that we're seeing with like gay or trans people. It's that they've always been gay or trans. It's not that like everyone's gonna be like we're like it's not like a virus where everyone's just gonna be gay or trans. It's just they've always been gay or trans, and we're seeing an uptick because it's more acceptable.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I on that
Wait,
note,
do you
or well,
think
related to
any
that
of
note,
it has to do with being like a trend and social contagion. No, I heard you like we were talking about this earlier, but you don't think any of it has to do with being a trend and social contagion? Like the rise of
mean,
like,
I'm s-
groups of girls that
I mean,
are
like queer
boys
baiting is a thing, so
groups, like friend groups of girls. Like we
I mean,
see
it might
this.
happen. I don't think it's a significant degree. I mean, it's like saying there's like a trend of social contagion of like, oh, all of a sudden a lot of left-handed people are out there, so people are gonna start using their left hand.
I know, but if we could prove like, oh, there's not a significant degree of kids that'll choose to smoke if we let them, I still wouldn't let kids smoke.
What?
Like
I'm sorry,
I'm
say that.
saying like that doesn't really like equal what you're trying to say here.
Yeah, they're like just because like when we like say we had anti-smoking propaganda and then we get rid of it, and then the smoking number like goes up to
Well,
a
that's a
certain
vice,
number and
though.
stays there. It doesn't mean they were born to be smokers necessarily. It
Well,
doesn't prove that.
Sure, but that's a vice. We're talking about people who have always existed like for like I mean if you want to say like yeah I guess maybe smokers have existed forever, but that I don't feel like that's
But I don't. Okay, but the thing that is
a
I
good
don't know about
equivalency.
trans
Wait, hold on,
people
really
always
quick,
existed.
because I'm gonna forget this. This is an important point.
Go ahead.
So there's a distinction. Like, so you're saying that the trans people would still exist.
They
I
have
don't like. Yeah, but see, like, what does that mean? Because for me, a trans person is a person with
That means
gender
that the
dysphoria that wants to change their either their sex or their secondary sexual characteristics, whatever that means to them.
there's sex.
So
I don't think
so real
I don't
quick-
think most. Go ahead.
I would say, I mean, for me, because I think this is like the most common definition, like all it means to be trans is identify as a gender other than the one you're assigned at birth or whatever. But when it comes to like gender dysphoria specifically, I think that's what we're saying, that there have always been people who would feel some version of what we now diagnose as gender dysphoria. Like whether it's because it might because of the nature of a lot of those.
Don't you think a lot of gay guys would like to be a woman so that guys
potentially
would wanna fuck them?
potentially
I mean, yeah, potentially, sure.
Right, like so, like I don't know if like this
I don't
whole,
think
like,
gay
trans
men
was always a
significantly-
thing. I don't know if we can prove this. I think the oldest we know of like a trans person is like as an actor in I forget what year it was.
I think most.
But like
dudes
it wasn't
having-
like hundreds and thousands of years ago. Like it wasn't like this. This wasn't like this isn't our evolution of like I don't know this. I don't see the proof to like there's always trans people.
When do you
Gay
think they
people?
started? When do you
Yes,
think they
I've
started
seen the
appearing?
proof to this. So, like there's
Okay,
a
wait,
social
hold on.
evolutionary.
start
There's a
spawning.
rhetorical
for
trick.
gay people.
There's a
like,
rhetorical
curious.
trick.
actually a
Ryan tricked
social
us.
evolutionary
I
reason
did.
for it.
I guess so.
Ryan tricked us earlier. Okay, there's a rhetorical
duped.
trick at. There's a rhetorical trick at play because if you define trans like it's not like you're if you define trans as anybody that identifies as the opposite gender, then what that means is like so. Back in the day, we wouldn't have trans people. Literally wouldn't exist because even if they had dysphoria,
Well, that's why I immediately hang on, Smith, because you didn't listen to the thing I said immediately after that. Then
Sure,
because what I
sorry.
followed that up with was what we're saying when we say trans people have always existed. We're using that as a
Dysphoria.
shorthand to refer to things
dysphoria.
that would have manifested in what we now call gender dysphoria.
Right,
and that
right.
manifestation would have been different in
understand,
considering time or
Cody.
place, and is different
Okay.
in time or place now.
But Coda,
Okay.
you understand that we still don't even understand what gender dysphoria is or comes from. You
Well,
understand?
is-
that, right?
we
we
say-
still don't understand.
Well,
it.
yeah,
we
I
don't
agree with
know
where it
how
comes from. Yeah.
ADHD
Symptom?
manifests.
We
It's mental
understand
illness
symptoms of
or mental
something that we
condition.
call
It's just
gender
we don't really-
dysphoria, which
Yes.
has a lot of
But
other
no,
things
we all
that could
think.
have the same symptoms. We understand the
ADHD.
symptoms of gender dysphoria, but we don't understand actually what it comes from.
Yes, sure.
But so this is what I'm saying.
We don't understand what
Okay.
any like mental
Yeah,
Like,
that's
yeah,
that's
I mean,
the limits of what we know about the
abnormality
brain. Really.
comes from. Like
it's
ADHD, we
hard.
don't understand where that comes from either.
Well,
Yeah, but
ADHD
we
may or may not be one thing, and a better comparison
We
would be
don't have to get
depression.
into the
Depression, like he
Sure,
was,
sure.
Speakeasy earlier was saying depression and anxiety might be like the thing that is probably common amongst people with gender dysphoria, but we don't like to figure out where your depression comes from. That could be a 10-year journey, you know, like, and so it being a 10-year journey means that, like, so if it's the case that your gender dysphoria comes from a depression that could take you 10 years to fix and figure out, and in the short term you could change your body to like alleviate it because you feel so horrible about the body as it is. Like I just think that you need to you're if you hate your body like that, you have a miserable life. I don't think that taking hormones and stuff is actually gonna make you like it's gonna make your life miserable too. Like transitioning isn't fun. It's really sucks. It really sucks.
How much hubris do you have to say that for other people? That is so fucking like insane for you to say that.
I just feel the same about
people.
cutting yourself.
The science doesn't support you. The people who do it don't support you. So why the fuck do you feel like you get to say that to trans people? You think that you can do? If I was a trans woman right now, like, and I'm like super happy with like my transition, like, do you think that you feel like you would have the gall to say that to me?
Yes. Well, I wouldn't say it to you because I would be respectful.
So you just tell me that I'm lying.
I wouldn't want to disagree with. I wouldn't disagree with a person like to their face about like so.
Oh, because
like,
you're a coward. Okay.
No, because I don't want to like fuck with their brain. You know, it's irresponsible.
Okay, so to the depression point, like, do you understand that one of the criteria for actually starting the treatment is medical and mental underlying issues are in control, right? So the depression has to be in control for them to even begin to go through treatment.
That's not true. That's not
That
true.
is true. That is one of the criteria for starting treatment.
You're picking the places. No. What you're doing right now is picking the places that have the most strict criteria.
Yes, I'm picking the standard.
That's
the
not
standard.
The standard.
That is the standard. If other places do it a little bit different, they are
Boston criteria. The very first one that comes up was the Boston criteria. When you search it up, it's minimal 6 months of gender dysphoric symptoms, and then everything else is strong desire and preferences for things of the opposite sex.
Well, again, but you're describing the criteria for being diagnosed with gender dysphoria in the first place. That's not necessarily about treatment.
I'm saying
that's what starts the puberty blockers.
No, it isn't.
I think there's more.
There's a different set of criteria for treatment.
Because I don't think just having gender dysphoria means that the best thing to do is immediately put you on puberty blockers. I don't think that's how it works.
It's probably like super like annoying from what I've heard about it.
I've been looking at. I've been looking at this study, by the way. I need to clear my name before this stream is ended, because you told me that I misread that article about a study. So now I've been looking at the study, and it says like it's even like more explicit, like in favor of what I was saying. Like the results, it says compared with the general population, individuals with a gender incongruence diagnosis were about 6 times as likely to have had the mood and anxiety disorder health care visit. More than 3 times as likely to have received.
Wait, compared with the general populace, not compared to people. Wait. But what's this about?
Compared with the general populace.
But that's already higher. We already know that's higher.
Right. But
you're kind of not saying anything.
You're not saying that's higher than it would have been if they hadn't gone.
That was the first part of the sentence.
Okay.
This thing was about them before and after like treatment, continuing to have more mental health issues or less. And this study suggests
that sentence doesn't support that. What you just said.
The beginning of that sentence supports that people going into having gender incongruence are 6 times more likely to have certain mental health conditions. But the reason for the study is to see when they get the gender confirming care, are they now less likely to have mental illness?
Wait, and the study that you're referring to, or the article that you linked us earlier, what it says
is that I linked, or
no, well, the one that he linked us earlier, I think,
and then
or maybe it's someone I don't know.
I linked an article about a study.
An article about.
No, I'm looking at the actual study, the actual harder to read study.
Do you want to repeat what you said then?
Okay, so compared with,
are you saying? Just to be clear, are you saying that these mental health issues increased after they transitioned. Is that
No,
what you're saying?
I don't think that's what this is saying.
Yeah, it's not. Absolutely. That's my point. Yeah.
No. But this was saying that that this doesn't decrease it doesn't get rid of their mental health issues.
Yeah.
Wait, so
Doesn't make them go away, sure.
Are you saying that it's 6 times more likely to visit a mental health professional? Because of course that would be, of course, standard for what we're talking about. That doesn't mean anything.
Actually, the conclusion, the one thing that is segmented off at the top of the conclusion says that in this first total population study of transgender individuals with gender incongruous diagnosis, this longitudinal association between gender affirming surgery and reduced likelihood of mental health treatment lends support to the decision of to provide gender affirming surgeries to transgender individuals who seek them.
Okay.
True. Can you read that again? Actually, I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just
love that. Literally the
That was a great
entire
sentence,
the entire conclusion
doesn't really
of the study is that it is on our end where we
What were the words
feel
you
that
just said? Read that seriously.
What is
read
that?
that
How
last
do
sentence
okay?
again.
Okay.
read that again.
Yeah.
I don't see how this is evidence in your favor. It's just like
Read
a
it
fact.
again.
Okay, just read it again.
Read it again.
In this first total population study of transgender individuals with a gender incongruence diagnosis, the longitudinal association between gender affirming surgery and reduced likelihood of mental health treatment lends lends support to the decision to provide gender affirming surgeries to transgender individuals who seek them. So this is saying that transgender people who do not have other mental health
you just okay?
Wait,
you need
so
to,
what
you
this
need,
says.
You need to think.
So what this says
don't
is that
embarrass yourself more than what
okay,
you're.
okay. Tell me if I'm wrong in interpreting this,
cut you
because
off.
reading this shit,
Okay.
especially with other people are talking over in my ear. Maybe I'm misreading, but it sounds like this to me is saying that when transgender people are not receiving mental health care, like for their mental health problems, they are more likely to end up getting like gender affirming care.
No, that's not at all what that's saying. When you mention the fact of them not getting mental health care, if I understood what you were saying, that means that they're better off because they don't need it. You understand that, right?
In this total population
Reread what you just read.
In this
Can you
total
post
population,
the one you're looking at in the chat, by the way? 'Cause
I think we're getting away from the fact. I just
No,
want
let
to
him
point
read.
out
Hey,
something.
hey, let him learn.
let me
I like that
no,
sentence.
let you gaslight me is
I
what
just
it is, because you
want-
don't know what the
wait,
fuck
wait,
you're
I
talking
just
about.
want-
either.
Gaslighting you. You literally were reading something that proved my point more than anything. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just want to say we're getting away from the point that we're talking about like kids being able to be making a choice for them to be an experiment, right? So like I just posted something in the side chat there, and it says the risk of taking puberty blockers and then the risk of withholding puberty blockers. If you look at that very first thing before you even read anything, the big list of taking compared to withholding is very big and different, right? And with taking, it involves unknown, and they say
That's how studies
work. We are not sure if puberty blockers
Yes.
have a side effect of bone development, and height research so far shows that effects are minimal. So we are not
Speakeasy.
sure, and we don't know. Wait, I just want to say something. We are
Go
not
on.
sure, and we don't know. The effects of withholding them can cause additional stress and may lead to anxiety and depression. So I would rather risk can and may rather than unknown. Everything for taking them is we are not sure and unknown. Everything for holding them is we fucking know what might happen.
Yeah, but speakeasy. I think
right here, this is what we're talking about. Kids being fucking.
Yeah, we're probably gonna go off on the same thing.
Well, if we're like banning all usage of this for treating this specific thing, how are we ever going to get the known to that unknown? Like we're just never going to know by your prescription.
So
Right.
you're okay with kids being experiments?
I think that there is going to be some amount of quote unquote, you can call it experimentation, but I think frankly it feels like fear mongering.
It's exactly what it is.
But
How do you think
like,
we?
Just came
this
out
is
with
how
it.
I mean you
We
have
just came
there's
out
no
with
way there's no other way for
have to
medical
sign-
decisions to be made like
Yeah,
Yeah, you're just
you have to do some
describing how we
concrete
do
experiments.
things.
Part
No,
of
you're
an
just
experiment.
describing
I
how
don't-
we do things. Speakeasy,
Yeah.
how could you possibly tell me, like, how do we figure out that penicillin worked?
Clinical trials.
Okay, this is very different because you're talking about something you
It's-
die without and something that you don't die without. This is very different.
No,
Tell me that-
like here's the
Penicillin?
you
No,
think-
absolutely
tell me
not.
you
That's
guys
not
can
true.
say right now with total confidence that without
How
puberty blockers,
How
these
did we
kids
find
die.
that mold?
A lot of
was
them
able-
I'll confidently say a lot of them might, yeah.
No, not might. They do.
Okay, a lot of them will, yeah. That's I mean the suicide rate's really high,
You
yeah.
can confidently say a lot of kids that don't get the
you think
puberty
we shouldn't do
blockers
it?
will die. Based off of what?
Yeah.
What
yeah.
do you base
I mean
that
the
off of?
insanely
I
high
can say
the insanely high
studies.
suicide rate. Yeah.
Every
Of the
kid
studies.
that doesn't get penicillin that needs it will fucking die. I can say that confidently. You're
That's not
saying
true.
that just because you're trying to
Okay.
hold your ego right now in this debate. That's bullshit.
Okay.
I
No.
think that
Wait,
you're
wait,
too
wait, wait,
desperate
wait.
to make a
Based off
point,
what?
but go ahead, Hornet.
Yeah. So with lithium and bipolar people, do we think that we know that's a harmful thing to do, but we see better results in the long term, right?
Mhm.
So how do we know that? Well, how did we test these things? Well, clinical
Mhm.
trials. We did that we have been doing that with puberty blockers as well. There's
Experiments.
always going to be, yeah.
Right. This is a model that I fundamentally disagree with, and I think Speakeasy probably disagrees with, where
You just don't like science.
I don't like medicalization of mental health, and so like you have
then how do
you have
you
you
learn?
identified patient X where they have this problem, they have whatever like constellation of symptoms that we could call depression. So now we are going to put them to this side of the equation, and we want them to equal a person that doesn't have depression. So we're going to and then we're going to like experiment and try to introduce things and whatever we can use to that'll make them not have depression. So we'll put drugs in them. We will we'll invent a fucking thing that'll change their brain their brain chemistry in a weird way that'll make them not have depression. Where I
Alleviate
like,
the symptoms of depression. Yeah, it's the main.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
It's all
Like,
about the symptoms, right?
So I don't
Right.
I don't agree with that whole alleviating the symptoms like thing. I think that life is suffering, and
There's literally no point. Like, there's no point in even
life
like
is
talking about
suffering,
the
okay.
diagnosis of
So
depression.
like depressed,
then. Like you don't even.
depressed people, I think need to like dramatically change their life to be happy.
And that will alleviate their symptoms. That's your prescription, right?
So
I think that the
It's
reason
still
that
about
people
never
are
take any medicine.
Wait, no. Wait, hold on. I think we need to go on that. Is that what you would say?
I think that if you keep getting pink eye because you keep going into the sewer.
No, we're talking about depression.
Yeah. Let's stay on depression.
Okay. What about depression?
Well, you were just saying that instead of providing any sort of medical intervention, that they just need to drastically change their life. And I think what the counter is that a lot of times this kind of medication gives people the tools that they can start doing things to change their life.
Right.
Right. Okay. I go to therapy, and when you go to therapy, you get access to a whole bunch of fucking resources. So not only have a therapist, I also have a social worker
I know
that sometimes
that.
doesn't even fucking do shit. I just go see her.
Sure.
And like
Cool.
she can like help me with, so she is a resource. So if I'm depressed, like I can tell her to like nag me to like make me do shit. And then
Sure.
she will nag me like I don't need the drugs to like I like that is a way to like be able to accomplish the goal, and I think that's a
Well,
better
can I
way
ask
because then you're not
you,
dependent and you don't become like.
Why did you get that? Why did you start going to therapy? Was it like
don't
a
wanna talk
court
about
ordered
that.
thing, or you don't have to
No,
talk about
it wasn't
directly?
ordered. No,
But
it wasn't
let me
ordered.
ask, like, okay, so do you think that it's not hard for people to start going to therapy? Was it
I
hard
think
for
we
you?
need to advocate for people to go to therapy. Yeah.
No, can I ask you, was it hard for you to choose to do it?
No.
It was easy for you.
As soon as I realized I could do this, and I was like, "Holy shit,
Easy,
it's
you're muted.
awesome!"
But do you think
Sorry.
realizing it took
I didn't
Realizing
realize
it-
I was muted. I have wait. Wouldn't you need to go through a bunch of therapy and stuff before you get the puberty blockers? Isn't this your big argument that you have heavy therapy and
what?
stuff?
No, we're talking about them going to therapy and it being like, I think like for me, I went to therapy, but it took a lot because I felt like I was weak or whatever to do it.
Right,
So I
it
think
can
like
take
these
a lot.
social, Right, that's what I'm
So,
trying
like,
to.
6 months.
Okay, now
Or
you're just kind of
this
distracting.
minimal criteria for getting put on puberty blockers, 6 months. Don't you
Alright,
think
Ryan, this is all
like
you.
maybe like 3 years is a better minimal criteria of therapy before you're put onto medication?
Well,
Yeah,
if,
because
something
because
like-
so,
well,
so like
the
if
thing-
you
the
if you
thing
go
is
to
when-
hang on,
if you
hang
go
on,
to
let me respond.
wait,
Let me answer
really
the
really
question,
quick,
Steph.
really
No,
quick,
keep-
really quick on top of that. If
Cool.
you go to therapy for
Go on.
depression, it's going to take more than 6 months to fix it.
Right.
True.
Well,
Okay, so anyway, I agree. So when it comes to the puberty blocker thing, if we're talking about children going through therapy and they are being diagnosed with gender dysphoria, and they're like, okay, you do the social transitioning, blah blah blah, and this is seems to be good, but it's also not alleviating these specific symptoms and stuff, and you're potentially a candidate for puberty blockers, and then you might consider those. You can't say let's wait 3 years if the goal of the puberty blockers is to block them from developing certain things that they're trying to avoid so they don't have to deal with this stuff later in life and have increased suicide rates and stuff because of this also, right? So if the goal is to prevent that puberty from altering their body in drastic ways, and you say, okay, just wait 3 years, let your body do what it's going to do, the whole point is that you're blocking it from doing what it's going to do over those next 3 years, like when you're starting puberty, right? So that's the whole point. I'm not saying that solves the issue, but that is what we're talking about. Is it like that's why we can't wait 3 years to make this decision?
Right.
Well,
You need to block the physical things. That's right.
Potentially,
You're
yeah.
blocking the
Potentially, yeah.
physical thing. And again, this is like so. Like again,
In-
so you're potentially okay with the kid that needs his arm chopped off, the kid that needs tattoos, the kid that feels like maybe he needs to drink a little bit.
All
The kid
hypotheticals,
that
while
wants
this is
to
a
get
real
into the
thing,
casinos.
though.
Like this is crazy that you think that these kids can consent to things like this or give you an adequate version of what they actually feel and not influenced by someone else. But why don't we let kids go have sex with adults then? Why don't we just do that? Why can't they consent to that?
I think the
can't
problems
they
that come from
consent
that
to
are
that?
far, far worse. So I'm gonna
No,
They
they're
can't
not. The
consent.
problems that come from hormone blockers is
Why can't
radically
they
going to change your
consent to
life
What
for
is
the
your
worse.
argument for why? Because I would assume that you get like
I'm asking you, why
are you
can't
being
kids
serious?
consent to sex with adults?
The amount that puberty
What is your
blockers is
reasoning for this? Wait, no, wait. I really
Because
need a
that has
reason
nothing to do
for this.
with them as a person. It's them being used by somebody else.
No. Why can't they consent to sex themselves? Why can't they consent to sex?
Why don't you tell me your reasoning for it?
because it'll
No.
hurt you. It'll
That's
fuck
not
your
how
brain
this
up.
goes, Nina. Come on.
I'll tell you, it'll
know
fuck
that-
your brain up.
Come on. Any of yous.
Well, because
It'll
I
give
think
you
it's
mental
an
health issues.
incredibly
It'll fuck you up.
manipulative
Any of
way
yous
to
tell me
do it.
why kids
Because
can't
it's somebody
consent
taking
to
in
sex.
like a control of you, getting satisfaction of your body, and like probably doing a bunch of like horrible things to you. Like what the
Because
fuck?
they lack the mental faculties to make a decision like that.
Sure.
They're
Right.
not old enough to
Right.
have consent
Right. So
We're talking
how
about
do you
sex,
how do
though.
you think they have the
for everything.
frontal
If they're too
cortex
young.
developed enough to tell you how they actually
That's why
feel
we
and
don't
what
let
they
16-year-olds
actually need?
drive.
Or vote, or drink, or smoke.
We do let 16-year-olds drive, is what Nina's point was there. But
16.
So if they
Yeah,
can't do all
you're
these
talking
things,
about
why are they
16,
allowed
16.
to say I
Yeah,
want to be a
so-
boy?
You have to
Wanna be a
stick in
girl.
this place, 8 to 13.
If driving meant
What?
getting like a neural
Just puberty.
implant into your brain, like a surgery, then
that what's
the age
happening?
would be a lot higher.
Well, I mean, it's basically giving you like a weapon to some extent. Like,
I'm curious.
like-
Wait, do you guys really think that like the implication of saying that children should, in some cases, go on puberty blockers means that those children means that we have to agree then that those kids could also consent to sex? Do you think that follows?
Right.
Pretty
So
much.
you're
That's
Yeah.
insane. I think that's
yeah,
crazy.
so
I-
wait, the
I don't
reason
think they
it,
can
I'm
consent to
gonna
sex.
explain to you why it's
Go ahead,
connected
though.
because you're saying that kids can consent to long-term effects on themselves, long-term negative effects on themselves. You're saying
Not
that
from
kids
what
can
I saw.
consent to negative long-term effects. So if you're saying that kids can consent to smoking,
You
sex,
have
voting,
some.
I don't think
getting
medical consent and
club,
sexual consent are the
gambling.
same thing.
You're saying that kids should
Yeah,
be able
they're
to
not.
consent to
16.
all of these things because you're saying that kids can consent to long-term negative effects.
In some cases.
I think that
in
the
some
long-
cases. So is this
Yeah.
arbitrary? You just
No.
get to pick. You just
I don't get to pick. I'm not asserting that I should pick.
Is able to choose these things.
Yeah, you're the one who
You
wants
just
to
get to pick
pick.
that?
We're doing what the science says, and you're just defying
do you
it.
mean
So
we're doing what the
you're
science
the
says?
one that
Science
wants
says
to.
Okay,
they
here's
can
here's
consent.
what the here's the
May
scientific
and
here's
not
the
know. It
here's the
doesn't know.
scientific
The
information
science
I would
does
want to
not
know. Here's just scientific information I would want to
I'll
know.
look it up for you.
And I think this, but I don't know because we don't have this information. I
We
think
might-
in aggregate, I think that the amount of negative impact that hormone blockers have on your body and your brain long term is an aggregate going to be much higher than if you were fucking 14 and you had sex with an adult.
You just admit that you don't have that information.
What the fuck?
No, that information doesn't exist.
What the fuck?
That's crazy.
That information doesn't exist.
There's no information
That's
about how
insane.
the impact on your body is with those
It's
things.
you absolutely do have an impact on your body. There's a chance that a 14-year-old could fuck an adult and not be traumatized. There's a chance that could happen, but we don't let them do it because there's a chance that it could traumatize them. But there is 100% chance that taking hormone blockers is going to radically it's going to decrease your health. It's going to have long-term permanent implications to your body.
Your neurocircuitry connections are developing because of the hormones being produced.
Okay, wait. Back to the depression thing. Do you think a child can tell you they're actually depressed, or is this going to be a thing that where they don't have the capacity to understand their own world?
A lot of adults don't actually even understand when they're depressed. They have to go through a lot of fucking
Okay, so we
therapy.
just
I think they're consistent on this. I think they wouldn't.
Is that the solution to the problem here? Is that your
should be?
So they should probably talk to somebody. They should probably talk to an expert who then they talk to more about their depression feelings, and then are able to analyze how those feelings are being portrayed, and then. What would you think about that? Do you think that if somebody goes to a child goes to an expert saying that they're depressed and the expert's like, yeah, this person's depressed, would you trust that?
If they go to an expert and the person says that they're depressed, would I trust them?
Their assessment. Obviously, the person directly was saying.
They just say they're depressed. Yeah, of course, I would trust.
Well, yeah, of course, everyone has to just say they're depressed because how else would you know you're depressed?
Saying someone is depressed, I would trust.
Right.
This, yeah.
Okay.
But I wouldn't
so why is that
agree
different from being gendered?
I wouldn't agree that if it was a 12-year-old that was depressed, I wouldn't agree that. Hey, you know what we should do?
Wait, so you wouldn't agree with that with a 12-year-old?
That's what we should do. No. Okay, I'm saying if the 12-year-old.
I really wish I would have gotten on ADHD medicine when I I was like 15 or. You know, because I realized later in life
I disagree
I had
because
ADHD.
you know what I have. If you want to be, if you want to know personal situations, I know somebody whose kid completely fucking changed.
You know somebody's kid. So your first-hand information is we have two people right here, me and Ryan, who are saying it was fantastic for us to figure out later in life that we had ADHD and we actually did something about it.
Well, you got me on the other side, and I'm literally the opposite. I literally the only reason you said that was to the only reason you guys said that was to fucking dismiss me, and you guys said that to dismiss my feelings.
No, I'm not trying to dismiss your feelings. Go ahead.
You guys said that to say that I was wrong to feel that I wish that I wasn't put on them because I don't know how to cope without them, and I only know how to cope with the drugs.
Smith, they're just trying to show that anecdotal things are always going to happen. There's always going to be changes between one person to another. There's never going to be a consistent line we can follow. So we're trying to help the most.
So it's okay. So if you're right, then they should shut up about it. If it's okay,
stop avoiding him.
I barely got to talk, please. Okay. Fuck.
Go.
So go. Yeah, I know I'm going. Fuck.
All right.
So when we're trying to go and fix these problems, we're looking at a general sense. We're trying to see the greatest population that we could help. Obviously, there's going to be some cracks that aren't going to be able to be filled in. It's going to be hard, and that's why we're trying to set up guidelines that try and mitigate that risk as much as possible. Yep. But to say we shouldn't even do it at all is insane.
How do you know that societal changes won't be the good answer before puberty blockers if this isn't the fucking thing that happens first? Why is your thing that should happen first instead of societal changes is medical interventions?
I'm not arguing that societal changes shouldn't happen. I'm saying we can.
No. I'm not saying you said that either. I'm not saying you said that.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
saying your thing is puberty blockers is okay because just because there's some kids that may be fucking misdiagnosed and they have regret. Just because of that, this isn't we're trying to help the majority. This isn't the majority. The trans fucking population is what, like 2%?
The majority of the people who are expressing gender
Majority of the
dysphoria.
people that are being affected by it.
Yeah, on puberty blockers.
That majority, not the majority. Like doing this does. I mean, I guess it probably helps society like majorly to have these people get the care they need. But yeah, we're talking about the majority of those people specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yes, yeah, but like the reason he said that, I think, is because the alternative would be for. So you're to placate the majority. You're having transgender people change their bodies to fit into a box in a world that expects them to fit in these box. Where the alternative would be for everybody else to change, so that transgender people don't feel like shit. So it would be we'd all have to do work. And so like you are like placating the majority. Okay, this is the disagreement that we keep going in circles around, and I want to just point it out so we can like stop like arguing the same thing, because we just have this fundamental disagreement. I don't know for sure. I think Speakeasy agrees with what I'm about to say. I think that gender affirming care is fundamentally like factually a harm. Like it is doing harm to your body, and it sounds like you guys think that it's not harm if you have gender dysphoria, but I think even if you have gender dysphoria, it's harm.
I think some forms can have harmful side effects. Sure.
I'm not sure what the factual aspect of that. You literally cannot. Hold on. I need to say. He's going to say factually. You have not proved any single fucking aspect of the fact that it's factually harmful. Can you please give me one resource?
It decreases your life expectancy.
Processes
osteoporosis.
For a woman that has bottom surgery.
Can you give me a source? Give me a
infertility.
Source. Gender affirming care. Okay, so does like people. You know what gender affirming care also can be like.
The reason to hang on, to be clear, speaking, I understand what you're saying.
Woman has to do every day.
I understand what you're saying. That a lot of kinds of gender affirming care do have negative side effects. Absolutely, yes, I agree with that.
The one I didn't say yet.
One or two.
Sure.
There's lots.
Sure, most notably,
hair growing inside of them because of the surgery done wrong. The surgery isn't even perfected.
I like how you guys think that you're an expert on
horrible things can happen, but like the things you're describing that are the horrible things. These are not like the way the particular ones that you keep bringing up, especially. These are like huge outliers.
Decreased life expectancy. Okay, these are just hormones. Decreased life expectancy, osteoporosis, like infertility. But most important, more radically, that is going to dramatically decrease your mental health and your mental well-being overall. Is your decreased sexual functionality or decreased sexual functionality or ability to have orgasms.
Smith, after this debate, please look up lithium, and
that's going to ruin your life.
What the effect on the body is, and we can have that conversation.
They're also against lithium, so
16. Stop saying lithium. You need to stop with this bipolar lithium shit. The lowest age you get lithium is 16.
It has
Go search it up.
Proven to work.
Search it up.
Why would I?
Yeah, so you understand how dumb that you look, but you're just like against like literal science.
I just
okay, so you're anti-science. We're pro-science. If you want to continue to be dumb as fuck about this shit, you can continue to do it. Because if you want to look into how lithium helps people, he's absolutely right. It absolutely helps people. So shut the fuck up on that shit, and let's get back to the conversation.
At 16.
That's no problem.
So he is saying that you can get lithium at 16, and they won't let you get it before 16 because it has these negative effects.
Oh. Okay. So
that's the
are you gonna like bridge the gap here and what you're trying to make?
What I said, Nina, earlier, I said, Nina, if a girl was tying her tits down until she was 16, 17 years old, I think she should start going through the process of transitioning.
Right.
I'm saying for the kids that are 8 to 13 years old, this is who we're talking about when we talk about puberty blockers. You don't hit puberty at 16 years old.
You don't give people that aren't going through puberty blockers, or you don't give kids that are going through. If they're not going through puberty, you're not going to give them puberty blockers. Yeah, I understand. That's going to be that age range.
And I don't think
blocking
hormones.
Do you not understand the point of puberty blockers is to let you decide if you like the way that you're supposed to? Because you're suggested to be.
I'm asking you, how do you expect people to be able to decide when their circuitry connections aren't even?
Okay, well, how do you decide anything? How can you decide that you're straight?
Developing because their hormones aren't being developed anymore.
To your lithium argument, dude. No, it's not 16. We don't recommend it for 7 and below. You understand that, right?
Okay.
We have treatments for lithium for 12-year-olds. Why
For
is that?
borderline personality disorder.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
those things start developing around that time.
I
so
know
that
I
would
have
make
something
sense.
of that. I know that's bullshit.
Wait, can you have
Just
borderline
link
at
it
12?
inside here for me. Just link it inside here for me.
Symptoms start showing up around that time.
Yeah, but I don't think you can be diagnosed until you're even like 16 or something.
I'm
Like,
not sure.
Here, I'll send you the dosing that they usually use.
Looks
No,
like
no, don't send me the dosing. Send me the fucking
That's
thing
what
you
they
just
use
said.
it for. What do you think? Why do you think they
just
have
said
dosing?
that you
Why do you
give
think they have it?
Diagnosing. Come down, come down.
Send me the thing that shows me we give it to 12-year-olds. Don't just show me the dosage of some
Yes,
bullshit.
it shows you
Just
what
show me-
dosage
Okay,
you're
it's not
supposed to
super
use with
common, but
12-year-olds.
apparently,
Yeah, I think he's saying the
people under
dosage for
18.
like relative to age is what he's talking about. I think.
Right.
yeah,
Okay,
but like, so yeah, just because
Yeah.
they know what the dosage would be for a 12-year-old, like he's saying he's making
They
the
know
pedantic
They probably
argument.
do
Like,
use
I
it
want to
also.
know if they
uncommon-
actually give it to 12-year-olds.
It's uncommon
What
to
is
be
this that you just
diagnosed
sent me?
under 18, but it does happen. From what I'm reading on the the government website.
Mhm.
So, I mean, mental illness it takes a while to, or mental illness, I guess, takes a while to show itself, so to
Yeah.
say.
So all of this is like the thing that he just sent. It seems to have like when he was talking about the dosage, it is include. It's like bullet points that show like like the dosage for children 7 years of age and older and adults and children, blah blah blah. But it's like for acute mania, for long term treatment of mania, for acute mania again. So it is essentially like what we're talking about, right? Unless we're assuming that like even though they have these dosages, they're not actually prescribing this to anybody, which I kind of suspect that that's not the case. But again, I in theory I could be wrong about that. But
So is it like a short-term use thing for episodes, and not like a long-term thing?
Lithium
it
is
has
usually something that you have to take
typically
over
when
time.
you're diagnosed with that, you typically tend to take it over a long period of time.
specifically to that question, it's
Well,
both. Like there are
where's
bullet
that?
points for
Where's
acute
that?
mania and for
You
long-term
don't
treatment of
need
This
to
mania.
is
Right,
getting.
right,
This
right.
is the life of this argument is, I think, is ending. Okay, we're I think we're circling the drain here.
Well, no, here I think the reason that that it is still relevant is because a lot
Sure.
of the like there are a ton of problems with this kind of medication as well. There are, and we're talking about children who might be prescribed this medication by doctors alongside working with their parents, and you, by your logic, you would have to ban this as well, and maybe you would, but I wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't bite that bullet as well.
Why-
So
why
if
would
I
you
were in your
ban that?
shoes.
Did lithium
Why-
go through clinical trials?
Yes,
Wait,
it
what?
did, and it
Hey,
did
so
go through
has
clinical trials.
puberty blockers gone through clinical trials?
Yes, they have.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay,
No, in
there's-
the case of precocious puberty. No. Don't think
Yeah.
you can slip
Yeah,
around
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Nope.
No,
It started off
You
in the
can fucking slip
60s for
around
that,
huh?
but for the last
No, it's
30
in the
years,
case of
we have been
precocious-
doing
avoid hornets,
clinical
right.
trials.
30? No, it's the last like 15 years we've been using
I think
it.
it started in
Nope,
1994,
30
right?
years.
You're right. There is often that bait and switch about the like precocious puberty. But that it's not like puberty blockers like do something fundamentally different inside the bodies of trans children than these other children, right? It's more like the issue is that you disagree with the reason in the other case.
Man,
And there are of course other things that can complicate like with a trans child that probably wouldn't emerge in like a precocious puberty child, but still we're talking about the same medication.
I have a lot I want to say.
I
I'm
just
like
want to point out one thing too. When you look up the side effects for lithium being prescribed to these 7-year-olds, that which is really rare, first off, not one part of it says unknown. Not one fucking spot in this website. I'm gonna post this for you.
You don't think that a comprehensive list would say like there's potentially things that they haven't seen?
Say unknown, but the puberty blockers say unknown.
Literally, of course, they would absolutely say it's unknown because then they don't like that's literally a legal thing. Like Tylenol says that shit. Like, are you kidding me? Like, why would they say like they're a direct because if anything happens else with it, like it's a fucking legal argument.
This must be a legal thing.
Yes, of course it is a legal thing. If you're talking about
Sue the people
warnings.
that made this website, I'm just posting on the side here then.
Yeah.
Well, what I'd say is that there's probably always going to be room for side effects, like for the quote unquote unknown, for side effects that we don't expect to pop up with medication.
Saying there's going to be room and them specifically pointing out to you that there's unknown side effects is a whole different story. You understand that, right?
So what do you think would be? What do you think would need to happen for them to not write unknown?
What's that, Smith?
I gotta go. I don't honestly. I think that they are tricking you with the lithium thing. Okay, this is what I think is happening.
The lithium thing.
Let me ask you a direct question about that. Because why do you think then that kids can't, like you? I guess you're saying that you would defend, or you would at least accept more reasonably that kids could quote unquote medically consent to taking lithium, but they could not ever consent to puberty blockers.
I don't know anything about lithium. Is the thing. I don't know anything about lithium.
Yeah, we should. Okay.
I don't know anything about lithium, and I just am generally anti like drug intervention, like in general. I think it's dangerous, especially as a first go-to. Like it should be like absolutely a last resort. Like there's nothing else you possibly could do for somebody. And in the case of puberty, I think, I'm afraid to, I have so much to say, but I'm afraid to say because every time I say something, they're going to bring up something I either know nothing about or make some like false equivalency. And now we're going to have to I'm going to have to look at some fucking...
You're acting like we're trying to be fucking sneaky with you.
No,
like,
I know. I don't think it's you. I think you're incredibly good faith, Ryan. Nina, I think that you're not
you think
bad faith.
Ryan? Are you serious?
But I really appreciate both of you. Okay, it's just this is your side of the argument here. I just see this as a trend. Okay, every time that I bring up anything like a difference in worldview, you're going to say. Like, oh, well, it's like being like left-handed, and I was like, I don't agree with that. And you're going to eventually find something that I don't know and I'm not confident about, and we're going to end up arguing about this one thing forever. And I was just about to say, I like that something I want to say, but I'm afraid to, is I just don't. Like puberty is something like that we go through, and our bodies change, and it's confusing, and we don't know what's going on, and we have to become adjusted to our bodies, and we don't know what our body's going to be like. We're going to have to learn what it's like to be us when we get there. And it takes years for that to happen. And we're going to have to until the first time you have sex, you're going to have all these insecurities about yourself until you even have sex for the first time. And so to take away puberty from someone takes away a big chunk of their mental psychological development, such that you're even making, I think that fundamentally is a massive inability. Now you're making them more likely to be mentally ill, dramatically. It's just
can I engage with you on that premise? You're saying are we talking? You've mentioned no sex, and then you've also mentioned no, and that's fine. I do want a good faith engage with you. Okay, I'm just asking. You're saying that you're talking about sex, and then you're saying puberty. Are you equating those two things, or I'm really confused about
sex,
why
the sex,
it
I was
seems
saying,
like you're doing that.
I was saying with the sex, I was saying, incels, people that have never had sex are really insecure people, and they have it's kind of crippling because I think a big part of that is they never learned a lot of self-acceptance, and because they never got intimacy, and they never learned a lot of lessons in that way. And so I feel like you have a lot of insecurities about yourself and about your body and who you are until you start having sex or intimacy with other people, and you that's one aspect that's important. But you have to learn how to accept yourself and the body that you develop into. I didn't know I had to have this weird facial hair, and it's weird, and it doesn't grow in like fucking Ryan here or Speakeasy. My facial hair I am closer to Joe Dirt. It took me quite a while. I was shaving my face for fucking forever before I decided to fucking just let it grow and see what. And I mean, it's weird, and it took me a long time to accept it.
I would really like to focus on when you keep saying you think people shouldn't. I mean, you started off this entire conversation about saying people shouldn't transition until they have a sex, and then it just seems like all you keep doing is mentioning puberty aspects of it or whatever. And I feel like you haven't really done a good I mean, again, I want to engage with you directly because you think I'm being bad faith or whatever, and I really do
Not that.
genuinely want to
You're trying.
understand the way that you feel, and I feel like I don't. I mean, I don't know if anyone else could help you out here, but I don't feel like I'd track your argument about it. Like, I'm saying this like as a very trans positive person. Like, it just seems like you maybe were somebody who wanted to transition based off of the way that you said, and I think that you maybe, I don't know, had a different situation, but I want to know what changed in you. I don't want to make any assumptions. Of course, that would be horrible of me to do. I don't know how you think. It just, you know.
See, so I think this is fundamentally like the difference in perspective that is the clash. Because for you and Ryan and Hornet and everybody that agrees with you. So like all fucking progress. It's like it's not like just fucking pointing you out. Okay.
Sure.
Like you guys, what changed is like a more hard question, because it was exposure therapy, and I think it's exposure prepared therapy that everybody goes through. Like with the facial hair, I didn't even allow myself to grow this facial hair for so long, and it took me forever once I started growing it to be comfortable with it, and I did not accept my facial hair for so long, and I didn't accept like so many parts of my body for so long.
Sure.
And
so,
so
okay, so if you want to finish, sorry.
So it's just, I think that depriving somebody of the experience of their body changing and learning to adapt and be comfortable with it. Some people, they won't be comfortable with it, but you have to give them that shot.
Okay, so here, I think I agree with like a lot of what you're saying about like how crazy puberty is. I agree that like a ton of people, cis people have no gender dysphoria really to speak of, are going to go through a lot of the things you just described. 100%, I'm with you. But I think what we're talking about is that there are then people who go through this puberty process and that shit like that ruins their life because their gender dysphoria has become infinitely worse because of things that they went through during this. And so if we can identify that, if we can try to identify signals of what that population might be displaying when they're younger, and if we can help them not go through that so they can live a better, more fulfilling life in the long run, I still think that's a good and worthy goal to aim for, even despite the other things you're saying.
I just have
Speakies,
a quick
let me say one thing, really,
Hornet,
please.
I think it was. Hornet, you said earlier that we already did clinical trials.
Wait. So can we have some? Wait, hold on.
Yes.
You're trying to pivot here. I want to
okay.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, yeah, you're right. My bad.
No, you're good.
I have trained a lot of dogs. Okay, and if it like something that's common that like novice dog trainers, when they'll let their dog out to go to the bathroom, and the dog will not want to go when it's raining. And they'll be like looking at you like, I don't want to go out there. And some people, they'll like put an umbrella over their dog. And if you do that, you're going to have to put an umbrella over your dog forever. What you have to do is you have to make the dog go outside and piss and shit while it's raining, and they're like, oh, but then eventually they'll get over it, and then they're just gonna like they're gonna learn how to just go outside when it's raining. Like and so like on other solutions, people like just won't let their dog out when it's raining at all. And I think that the puberty blockers is like you're putting the umbrella or you're not letting them outside. You have to let them go through the awful thing.
Well, hang on. Well, if the umbrella in this case is like avoiding your body turning into something that causes you, it's going to cause you massive distress. Yeah, we do want that umbrella to stay, because that umbrella is causing them to manifest different traits in adulthood. Ideally, if that's where they need to go. But like,
Coda,
yeah, I don't.
Some things times like how many different things in life do we not like?
Okay, so I agree there are tons of things
for everything that just caused us distress.
You're right. Like, we would try to seek help for not just things that cause any kind of distress, but if there are things that trend massively, like specific things that trend massively with things like huge suicide rates, like I don't know. It seems like that we need to like try to address some problems here. Like even if there's some like like what feels like really unconventional solutions. Like I don't know.
Well, this is why I always say. This is why I was talking about like social and psychological changes before physical, because like this is the thing that is actually affecting them, right?
But the problem is that
their emotions most of these, and their psychological. This is what's
it's at least a big part of it. I agree with you, but
physical. So like
Well, I would say a lot of two of the criteria for gender dysphoria are those two, like sex, like the biological sex things. But like, it seems like we do have lots of evidence that these things don't tend to go away in specific populations. These things, people don't tend to just like eventually go, you know what? I just like, or people who have these things. So, like, there are a very small portion of the people who are expressing this gender dysphoria for a long period of time who do go on to just say, you know what, I'm over it. Like that's an extremely rare thing.
Yeah, the ones that don't get given puberty blockers, right? You're right.
No, that's not.
The ones that
not.
don't get given puberty blockers have a high desist rate. You're right.
People. Oh, okay. Well,
the ones that get given puberty blockers have almost like a 98% going into transition.
Well, sure. So that means we're doing a fairly good job deciding about who should get them, right?
It's kind of a dub.
Wouldn't you want that? No, we would want those numbers.
Wait, then why is
the
suicide rate still so high?
Well, again, I think the suicide rate is like, although like that still can play a part. I think a lot of times the suicide rate is more tied to how they're treated by people around them for being trans.
Like, okay, well, the idea of like the fact that like if one of your
I'm saying it's both. I'm saying it's both. To be clear, I'm saying it's both.
Not your argument.
Yeah, but like if one of your parents is supportive,
it is part of my argument.
Fuck suicide. Throw that out the window anymore for your argument of why we should give them puberty blockers. You just admitted that the only thing that gives suicide
it's not the dysphoria, it's the people around
part of it. So
well, I mean, that can enhance the dysphoria.
No reason for the puberty blockers.
That's not true.
You said that.
No, I didn't.
What's your other argument? There's no suicide. What's the other argument?
Quality of life, then, I guess. Yeah.
Quality of life. So
what's your argument against
misery?
it?
I mean, like being miserable versus not being miserable.
What is your argument against it?
Should we give all poor people money?
Baby, yes. Yes.
Socialists, are you serious? You know who you're talking to?
Do you know the type of human beings you would develop if we just?
You're a socialist and you're asking if he's stupid.
That's not a good argument. I have a better argument.
I didn't say I'm a
for you.
socialist.
Speakeasy. I have a way better argument. I have a way better argument than more poor people money. That's a bad one.
Some girls to give me blowjobs every night. Somehow you guys need
Speakeasy. There is overwhelming evidence that like cash payments to poor people, they go spend them on things. Poor people, when you give them cash payments, they go spend it on things they need. There's like insane amounts of evidence.
Okay, come on. Okay, I got a better argument. Speakeasy. Let me get. Okay, I got a better argument. Okay, so for a quality of life. Okay, so we have people in this call. Me and Nina and Ryan. You guys, we both we're both looking at the other side of the other side of the bridge as greener, where I wish that I wasn't prescribed the ADHD drugs, and I think I would have been happier, and you guys wish that you were, and you think they would have been happier. So like where is the real answer? So if we're saying quality of life,
we have been subscribed to them, and we're
no, you guys wish that you got subscribed there earlier. I wish that I wasn't subscribed to them earlier.
Right. Okay.
Can we quickly go back to that suicide thing?
Well, we can, but after I respond to what Seth said, because I think what we would appeal to there is we would look at the numbers, and it seems like you would be in this analogy, you would be in the 1 to 2%, was it 2% of people who end up going on puberty blockers, who then go on to regret it, or then go on to detransition, and we would be part of the 98% of people who continue transitioning and are satisfied with this choice.
Right.
I don't think that like a 16-year-old is like got the wherewithal to even know to detransition, but yet like they're just fucking going with the fucking flow. I don't even think that makes sense.
So what age?
Honestly, like detransitioning is like say you get a tattoo. Like what is the rate of people that get the tattoos removed?
What age?
What age? What?
Wait,
don't do a metaphor. No, don't do a metaphor. I'm telling you, what age?
Suicide isn't the reason
I'm
to give them the
asking you what age?
What age for what?
To give them the puberty blockers?
And you make those decisions.
Like you guys, I feel like you guys kind of just shit on your argument a minute ago.
30.
So what is your reasoning for giving the puberty blockers if it's not suicide?
Do you guys understand what puberty blockers do with your body?
You just threw that out even if they are, that doesn't matter.
When I said
that there are social factors and medical factors. There's gonna be both.
They're not mutually exclusive.
There's not just factors. Wait. Hornet. Yes. You can't just say these empty statements. Social factors, which is what I was saying, and then medical factors. What's the medical factors?
Okay, if we're talking about what I'm saying is that like the development. the development of your body, like, so if you go on puberty blockers and it changes the way that your body develops, right, and it stops you from developing certain features that otherwise would have made you look a certain way that you don't want to look, right, then the way that people engage with you is going to be different based on that, right, and also your perception of yourself is going to be different based on that. Both of these things they're not mutually exclusive. They play into each other.
But wait, what's the reason to give them the puberty blockers of suicide?
To prevent them from developing those traits.
What traits? The physical
depression, anxiety, a bunch of traits that would.
So wait,
I'm saying the physical traits.
Yeah, because of their physical appearance, right?
Maybe so we can't stop.
Okay, for example, so if somebody is a trans woman, right? Like, and they like develop a beard, I think like if they see themselves as a woman, them having to deal with a beard for a long period of time, it's also going to be like very distressing to them. Of course,
she's
right?
probably
around
past
like
puberty
16, 17, and laser surgery will take care of that. We're not talking about that right now. I just want to know what your argument. I feel like the original argument was
literally exactly what I'm saying.
Blockers or suicide, but now
that's never been the case. That's never been my position.
Out the window. So what's the other option?
No, we're not. First of all, we're not throwing suicide out the window. You said in a hypothetical where we could. No, I absolutely.
You're saying suicide's from social factors, though.
Well, I'm saying these things aren't mutually exclusive. I don't buy into what you guys are saying.
Because of social factors,
is there a natural suicide factor? The social factors are what needs to be fixed.
Well, okay. Well, again, I'll hold my fucking breath.
So you're advocating for children.
But then you're not fixing the suicidal fucking factor. You're not fixing anything.
Well, no, you are, because one of the social factors can be how people engage. No, speak easy. One of the social factors can be how people engage with you based on how your physical features look.
The one thing I've just not understood. Smith has been literally gave you his explanation of his own life of why you shouldn't take puberty blockers, and this should be the hands down best explanation, period.
Okay, well, and he would fall in
one person's anecdotal data and apply it to the rest of the world. I have ADHD and I don't take any medication. I cope with it. Does that mean every person on the planet can cope with it? No, absolutely not. I'm outside of the norm. You understand this, right?
Yes, meth is outside the norm in this
outliers.
As well. And he was also never diagnosed with gender dysphoria.
We give poor people money. All those bums that are living in fucking LA on the streets with nothing and they're all shooting up heroin every day. Should we give them money?
Okay, well, you switched it from poor people to homeless people, which is a little more complicated.
Quality of life.
Those are two different.
Let's fix their quality of life.
I don't know if just handing homeless people money would fix their quality of life, but I'm open to it.
Well, it's probably better. It's going to fix their quality of life than doing nothing, isn't it?
Potentially.
Right. So why don't we do it?
Maybe we should. I don't know. I'm open to that. Yeah, maybe.
What's your point?
I just think this is a very, very different.
Programs are speaking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pro social programs. I'm huge about social programs.
A bunch of leftists, of course, we would be interested in that.
But what's that going to do for them? What does that help them?
Well, it helps poor people take care of themselves and pay their bills and things.
Mm-hmm.
You think so? You think the guy that's addicted to heroin?
You have a family.
You keep going to the outlet. You keep going to the drug addict. You say poor people, and then you switch to someone who's this fucking bait and switch. You're better than this.
If you're down on your luck, like whatever, like something happens, some really unfortunate situation.
Your argument, because suicide is a social factor. You threw out medical. It's a social factor. Medical.
I don't think they're mutually exclusive.
No, they're not mutually exclusive.
Then show me the link. Show me the link.
What I just outlined.
Medical conditions? Are you serious?
No. Show me the link of the puberty blockers stopping the suicide. Show me the link.
Okay. Give me a sec. Oh shit! What the?
But that doesn't have to do with social factors.
Wait, why would it not? Why are you separating these?
Before you even found it out, you're moving the goalposts. I feel like you're gonna be disingenuous about this.
Is gender dysphoria a mental thing?
What? Is gender dysphoria a mental thing? Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Right. So why would we be focusing on fixing physical things? I don't know.
Well, it's a mental thing, and oftentimes two of the criteria for diagnosing it are your relationship to your physical body.
I gotta go.
All right, fantastic talking to you, Smith. Yeah. I hope we can talk again.
Tell everybody where you at, buddy. Tell everybody where you at.
Yeah, give you the show.
I'm on YouTube, and
Tell them the name, bro. My
I'm on
mom will
YouTube.
drop your link in the
Just go to
chat.
YouTube, YOUTUBE, almost spelled it wrong there, and .com, and you'll find me there on the home page. And if you type into the search bar "Real Smith," you'll find me. And I want to get.
My chat's been loving you, so I would really hope to talk to you again.
Sure. I'm sorry. I've been a little bit rude, but I think
No,
that
you're
these
fine.
I think we just keep having the same disagreement where me and Speakeasy think that the gender affirming care treatments that exist are like fundamentally harm, and you guys say that they're kind of harm, but like it reduces something else. But we're saying that we want to change society and not change trans people, and you guys are saying, well, it's more simple to change like trans people and like more beneficial, and like we just have different philosophies on how to tackle these issues, and that's just how it is. Do you disagree with that?
I mean, just to be clear, we're both. I mean, I think maybe all are advocating for changing the social dynamics as well.
Yeah.
that would improve these
100%.
conditions. So
I am definitely for that. I'm
Absolutely.
not against. I know Nina said it sounds like this, but like I am not against trans people whatsoever. I do believe that gender dysphoria is a thing, but
Love
I
it,
feel
Tony.
like
Hey, bro.
where it comes from, I think with kids it's just so hard to actually diagnose where it comes from. That's the only thing this comes down to for me.
All right, I'm going. All right.
Okay.
Nice
So
talking.
have
No
a
problem.
fantastic night.
Yep.
Pleasure
Thank you
talking
for coming, bro. Thank you for coming, bro.
for sure,
You're welcome. I have to figure out how to leave this.
you can't. You're stuck there now.
Yeah, you're
just
stuck here.
exit.
You-
If you
yeah,
just
just go to
exit
sleep,
the
go
tab,
to
you'll
sleeping
get
stream.
I found it. All right. On July 4th, I'm going to be on a panel hosted by Tom Foolery, and confirmed we have Destiny, Brianna Wu, and there are a number of other great people invited. I don't know who else is confirmed. I'm pretty sure there's more confirmations by now. And the topics are going to be, let me fucking figure it out. It's going to be about sex work to start. Should we, let me just find the thing. Should we discourage such sex work, and should people who do sex work be stigmatized? Are incels oppressed or marginalized, and what should we do to help them? Do women have more fulfilling relationships than men, and should men mimic women's relationships? These are all things that are right up my alley. I will see you there, and hopefully I will have my video finished for then. And I'm working tirelessly. I stayed on this panel way too long. I needed to stick to like an hour. I'm gonna get up early. I'm gonna focus. I'm gonna give you your fucking video. Okay. See you next time. Snort some crystal meth. Good night.